genuine sense of reflection within cricket franchises, cricketers, about how they celebrate a victory? Do you believe that that's happened, or do they feel that they've been victimized?
Well, good evening, and thank you for having me on the show today. Before I answer your question, I think one thing that I wanted to say, because I've been hearing the gentleman before me talk, and it's again very, very clear that the cost of human life in this country, Veera, is very, very cheap. And that is the real tragedy. As far as cricket franchises are concerned, we've heard the BCCI go on record to say that even though they cannot control how a franchise decides to celebrate a particular win or a title or a trophy or a tournament, they do need to bring everyone to the table so that a tragedy like this does not happen again. Having said that, I just was hearing Mr. Ponanna, I think it was, and I'm no legal expert here, but I heard him say that the government of Karnataka has nothing to do with the KSCA. I wonder why he said that, because if you look at the Chinnaswamy Stadium, the venue where this tragedy occurred, the venue is actually owned by the Karnataka government. It's leased out to the Karnataka State Cricket Association for, I think, about 100 years or something like that. So is the government actually trying to say that they have no responsibility for a tragedy that occurred on the ground?
That doesn't make any sense. I'd like to come in here.
But having said that, I also say that this is a classic case of past. It's not just the government.
So you're saying if somebody owns a house and a crime takes place in that house,
one very quick point that I wanted to make here.
Let him finish his point.
One very quick point. Everybody knew that RCB is going to be playing the IPL final on the 29th of May. That was 5 days before this tragedy occurred. Are you telling me that a franchise with the resources that RCB has and a government body which is in charge perhaps of a cricket stadium and is looking at everything that is happening?
All relevant questions, closing remarks from Vijay Prasad. Yeah, just 10 seconds, sir. Yeah, just 10 seconds to both of you.
I want to make a point here.
Yeah, Vijay Prasad, go first.
Yes, 20 seconds to both of you, please.
Okay. Veera, on the day of the celebration, it was shameless DCM Shivkumar who was charading, holding the RCB fan using the government of Karnataka vehicle throughout Bangalore, right from the Devnalli airport to the Vidhan Sabha steps and to the KSA stadium. He was the one who was charading, holding the RCB fans, RCB fan flag, and in the government official car. See, for me, a common man.
Dhruv Jati, respond to that. Quick final word from Dhruv Jati. You made your point.
No. Only thing is, if I want to set up a small pendal, I have to get the police permission.
I'd like to come in.
Go ahead.
Finish your point now, Dhruv. Yeah.
So are you trying to say that the DCM cannot be a fan of RCB? Are you saying that the DCM cannot join the celebrations that took place? Now, I'd also like to give a reply to the sports journalist who is on air. So, if you say that the government had leased out the land to the Karnataka State Cricket Association, in retrospect, since we're on a media channel, Vasudha, let's say a crime takes place in your studio, are you going to say that the owner of that particular building is to be held accountable, or the criminal himself? It's quite. It was a very blatant statement.
No, I think there are multiple layers, multiple questions to be raised.
I'd also like to one more important point, because it was brought out saying that there was some amount. Vijay, 1 second, Vijay, stop interrupting people.
I think a lot of these points have been made in the court. I think the matter is before the courts. They will decide. The courts will ultimately decide. Let's leave this conversation here for the moment. It was a tragic loss of lives, Vasudha, 11 lives. The question is that will everyone reflect, and will the responsibility and where the buck really stops as far as the decisions that were taken?
Yes, absolutely, Veera. The cost of human life sometimes is just nothing. And now continuing our focus on the case of Indian nurse Nimisha Priya, who has a fresh but temporary lease of life in Yemen after her execution was postponed yesterday. Now, frantic efforts are on by multiple leaders from Kerala and also the Ministry of External Affairs to save her. MEA, in fact, has assured all possible assistance to Nimisha's family, Veera. In fact, today there was a statement from Randhir Jaiswal, the spokesperson of MEA, who said that the Indian government is making all efforts to ensure that she gets all help that she needs.
That's right, Vasudha. Also, it has appointed the MEA a lawyer to help the family. Nimisha Priya, the nurse, remember, from Kerala, was convicted in the murder of her Yemeni husband and has been on death row. Her mother, a house help in Kerala, has been camping in Yemen to save her daughter. Several campaigns on as well to raise funds. As per the law in Yemen, Nimisha's family can pay blood money to the victim's family and avert that execution.
Absolutely. We'll be joined this evening by social worker Samuel Jerome Bhaskaran, who has been leading these negotiations in Yemen to save Nimisha Priya. But let's also take a look at this reaction.
This is a very sensitive matter, and the Government of India has been offering all possible assistance in the case. We have provided legal assistance and also appointed a lawyer to assist the family. We have also arranged for regular consular visits by a family, and we are also in touch with local authorities as also the family members to resolve this. We continue to closely follow the matter and render all possible assistance.
Samuel Jerome, who's been leading the negotiations, joins us now. Mr. Jerome, thank you so much for joining us on NDTV. The MEA today said that it's doing everything possible to save Nimisha Priya. Now that the family of the victim has also unfortunately said that they will not grant mercy to Nimisha Priya, what really is the hope? What kind of diplomatic and legal tools are you using?
Let me be very clear here. Whoever intervenes, the pardon has to come from the family. So that is the only way, because we have exhausted all the legal options. Where she has been proven guilty and the verdict has been given accordingly. So the Sharia law, as per the Sharia law, the forgiveness comes from the family. So all the efforts, the collective efforts, will be focused towards getting pardon from the family. So that is what it is. So all the tools that is being used will converge with the family to seek pardon from them. I hope, intentionally, I'm a little bit being vague because that is where I have to be. So, there are a lot of, so I just leave it as it is.
Can you tell us about who are the people who are helping out the negotiators at this case? In this case, at the moment, there is a lot of effort that the Indian government also says it's making. But are there prominent figures who have led back-channel talks as well?
Let me be very clear. There is only effort from the government of India, and there is a sheikh called Mr. Abdul Malik Nahya, and the support from the government of Yemen. That's it. So no other things has been. Let me make it very clear. So no other efforts had been made, and the family has made it very clear through our sheikh that they have not spoken to anyone. Maybe fringe persons from their family would have spoken to anyone, but that is not what it is. So it has been made clear to us, and we know what it is. So at least no efforts have been made. Yes, the government of India, and actually the thing is that we want to thank the intervention of Kerala MLA, Mr. Chandi Oman, who actually started all this. He went to the Kerala governor. The Kerala governor's intervention was amazing, and the Union Home Minister and our Prime Minister's office and our our Minister of External Affairs. So here in the groundwork, we did the groundwork. It is a combination of two things. Here in the groundwork, we did it through Sheikh Abdul Malik Al Nahya, who went to who approached the president office and gave a plea through influential persons, and they did request a request from the government of India that came in on time, and it all went together, and that is the intervention. That is how we were able to get the extension. So whatever that is coming outside, it is for media, and I don't care, and I don't want to get into the politics. I'm not a politician. I want to get Nimisha alive, and you have to know that the so-called intervention has provoked the family, and they had to come out and say that all this negativity. You need to understand.
So, Mr. Jerome, you're saying that there needs to be restraint in talking about the victim's family, and we need to give them time clearly to be sensitive for the persuasion that you're all trying. For that to work, we need to have some restraint, is what you're saying.
See, when within a very short time, on 6th, I received a call from the chairman of the jail that he has received the thing. 6th, I was in India. 8th, I landed here. Imagine from 8 to 16, the very short time. I made a very knowledgeable decision that I will not go to the family, because you have to understand the family has given consent for execution, and there is no way they can go back. You need to understand, even if the family want to forgive, they cannot, because there is a tribal pressure and all those things. I didn't want to put the family in the bad situation. You need to understand. So I had approached, we had an alternate approach, and it worked. So the things, I know when to call the shots and how to call the shots, because the family dignity and their honor is of utmost importance. So people who doesn't understand, people who cannot be in the shoes of Mr. Abdul Fattah cannot seek forgiveness from them.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Jerome, for joining us on this very sensitive story. Samuel Jerome Bhaskaran, one of the lead negotiators in the Nimisha Priya case, we are saying very clearly that there needs to be restraint, there needs to be more mindfulness when we talk about this case, because he says there are multiple complexities involved, and all that he wants right now is to ensure that Nimisha Priya is saved.
That's right, Vasudha. It's a case that's extremely complicated in many ways. Now to the story we've been following very closely, the political story from Tamil Nadu. Is there friction between the AIDMK and the BJP in the state? Soon after AIDMK chief Edappadi Palaniksame's comments that he will be the leader of the alliance and that the AIDMK will form a government on its own if the alliance comes to power, there was a hit back from former BJP President Annamalai, Vasudha.
Absolutely, Veera. And Annamalai repeated Union Home Minister Amit Shah's assertion that Tamil Nadu, if it votes for the opposition alliance, will be ruled by a coalition, and that the BJP will, for the first time ever, have a role in governing a state that has historically rejected its brand of muscular nationalism. When Amit Shah reiterates a coalition government, I can't take a different stand. That's what he asked the AIDMK to discuss the issue with the Home Minister himself.
The natural thing is very clear to defeat DMK. That is also very clear. Of course, there are two parties with differing ideologies. That is also very clear. If parties have got differing ideologies, only then we are an alliance. If you have same ideologies, you can combine the party. We have differing ideologies. That is also taken. Of course, you will have certain differing issues. That is why the Honorable Home Minister said we will have a common minimum program that is agreeable to both the parties. That is also was made clear in the press meet. Everything is made clear. Now, as a Karyakarta, the question you are asking me is whether I will stand by our Honorable Union Home Minister, Amit Shahji's assertion in multiple interviews. My only answer, very simple answer, is I am standing by him. Very clear. And we will stand by him, because that is the duty of a Karyakarta. And it is he who formed the alliance. He is very clear how the alliance should go forward.
Well, interesting comment there, Vasudha. Well, we'll have to see how this dynamic plays out in Tamil Nadu.
Absolutely. It's CPS versus Annamalai once again. But yes, Tamil Nadu election activity is peaking there, and we'll keep a close track of that. But now it's time for a short break. We will be back in just a bit.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
Air India crash investigator has dismissed the WST report that blames pilots for the crash, calling foreign media reports it responsible. The investigator has appealed to everyone to wait for the final report before jumping to conclusions. As actor Darshan flew to Thailand to shoot, SC today came down heavily on the High Court for granting him bail. Darshan is an accused in the murder of a fan. The top court said the High Court's bail order was not convincing. Indian Army meanwhile has achieved a significant milestone at 15,000 feet in Ladakh with the Akash surface-to-air missile, the new variant of The system Akash Prime has scored 2 confirmed kills during a test run. Another case of violence by M&S workers in Mumbai attacked a shopkeeper over an anti-Marathi post. NDTV confronts the M&S worker who refused to apologize and defended their actions.
That's huge. That is a biggie. It's out of it.
Gold Plus Clear Glass. Bar ho ya near, sab kuch dikhe clear.
Finesta Windows. Beautiful and durable designs. Installation से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस. आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए.
Find Finer Finesta.
Some say sport is a matter of life and death. The truth is, it is far more serious than that. Sport is about ecstasy and agony, about pain and suffering, about joy and much more. Some say there's no one better to tell these stories. So here I am. Join me, Boria Majumdar, on India's #1 news network.
आप एक गुंडे कैसे बिहेव कर रहे हो सर?
मेरी
आप तो एक मेरा गायकवाड is running away from NDTV's questions.
That issue is not before the High Command. It was not discussed so far.
Kolhapuri chappals costing $1,300.
The noise we made finally got heard, and it's so nice that somebody took action on it.
Pictures and videos of women that were taken in the Bengaluru metro, now on Church Street and other prominent places in Bengaluru. We managed to arrest both of them.
We are bringing you now, for the very first time, is that the Air India preliminary crash report is out.
This 15-page report into 10 key findings of what really is being said in this probe report.
What's reporting without impact? NDTV 24/7.
Vanakkam Tamil Nadu.
Well, the battle for Tamil Nadu 2026 is open now.
After Chief Minister Stalin rolls up his sleeves.
And Vijay steps in as a star challenger.
This is a mass gathering, not for cash.
Meanwhile, a former Chief Minister, Edapadi Palanisamy, begins his fight back.
The big comeback campaign by EPS has well and truly begun.
These are all the ultimate players, and this is going to be the ultimate test.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of maximum city is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
India's IT capital is always bustling, a city full of startups, stories and surprises. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Air India crash investigator has dismissed WSJ reports that blamed the pilot for the crash, calling foreign media reports responsible. The investigator has appealed to everyone to wait for the final report before jumping to any conclusion. As actor Darshan flew to Thailand to shoot, Supreme Court today came down heavily on the High Court for granting him bail. Darshan is an accused in the murder of a fan. The top court said that High Court's bail order was not convincing. Indian Army achieved a significant milestone today at 15,000 feet in Ladakh with the Akash surface-to-air missile. The new variant of the system, Akash Prime, scored 2 confirmed kills during a test run. Another case of violence by M&S workers in Mumbai, attack on a shopkeeper over an anti-Marathi post. NDTV confronts M&S, who refuse to apologize and also defends their action.
Presented by Canara Bank. Together we can.
Welcome back. YSRCP Chief and former Andhra Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy's English first pitch has sparked a language debate in the state of Andhra Pradesh. In a politically charged statement, Jagan Mohan Reddy has urged people, Veera, to stop debating Hindi and instead focus on mastering English, that he calls a language of opportunities. He says English is non-negotiable for future global success. Remember, this is a man who during his time as a Chief Minister focused a lot on English medium schools, and while he has insisted that Telugu will remain the emotional and cultural backbone of Andhra, English should be the passport to opportunity, and especially for first generation learners in rural government schools.
Yes, Vasudha, the timing of that statement is interesting because remember recently Andhra Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu, TDP Minister Nara Lokesh and Janasena's Pawan Kalyan have backed Hindi to the hilt, asserting there's nothing wrong in children learning it, especially in the southern context, and that's an important political statement. Jagan's message, though, non-anti-Hindi, like it is from the DK, was clear, doesn't fall into cultural actions. He tells the system to teach children the skills that will change their lives. Some have also called Hindi, remember, quote-unquote, national language, a constitutionally incorrect claim that drew and reignited the North-South language fault line. The pushback, however, highlights the political sensitivity around linguistic identity, particularly in the South, particularly in Tamil Nadu. A debate has also earned the traction in Maharashtra in the last few days.
That's right, Veera. But politically, a pro-English and not an anti-Hindi position, what does it mean for Jagan and his party and the entire realm of South Indian political parties, which have for often been centered around identity politics? That is what we discuss in the course of the next 20 minutes. We will be joined by a panel of guests, but first, here's what Jagan Mohan Reddy said today.
It is a national language. What is there to pitch? See, today, English is the global language. Anybody, until and unless these government schools change, and until and unless the poor studying in these government schools learn to speak fluent English, they can never be competitive. So the medium of language should be English. Yes, once the medium is established as English, you can have language 1, language 2, language 3, depending on the choice of the children. Maybe a language 2, if there is an option, one can always pick Hindi. There's nothing wrong in it. In fact, my first language was Hindi.
Well, joining us now is Bharat Ram Margani, who's a former MP, YSRCP. We have Professor Jyotsna Tirunagari, who's a national spokesperson, TDP. We have Sandeep Shastri, political analyst. He's also the Vice President of NITI Education Trust and National Coordinator of Lok Niti. Thank you all of you for joining me on this broadcast. Bharat Ram, to you first. I agree with Mr. Jagan Mohan Reddy's position, but at a time when there's so much emphasis on pride over mother tongue and also this whole debate around the three-language policy, is the YSRCP trying to take a different position? Of course, the fact that you have been giving emphasis to English medium schools, but political scenario in this country also demands that you come out very clearly to say if you're supporting the NDA or the opposition party.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me here in NDTV. Here, my leader, Jagan Garu, has a very clear stand. And his thought process is pragmatically what are the future generations has to face. See, English is considered to be the global language, undoubtedly. So any Indian goes overseas, the medium, even though they have a lot of knowledge or the conduct, but the communication should be very clear in terms of speaking in English. So if anybody from the people from the South goes to the North, of course, Hindi is the main language to be communicated. But as far as our Indians are considered globally, so definitely English should be the main medium. And our leaders' focus is completely stressed on the weaker sections and the rural population. So I'm asking straightly, I'm asking straightly. Mr. Pawan Kalyan has pitched in that Hindi shall be the language to be spoken across the country. But whereas the Pawan Kalyan's son, where is he studying? Is he studying in Telugu medium or
Okay, you're asking
Hindi
a
medium?
specific question.
Yes.
We will try and get Jyotsna Tirunagari to answer that question, but unfortunately, Vasudha, I think we need to wait for Jyotsna Tirunagari. So, as a buffer before that question gets to the TDP, we have our Sandeep Shastri, who's followed South Indian politics very closely. Sandeep Shastri, the question of Hindi versus regional language is one connotation, but Hindi versus English is the other aspect of what needs to be the language of learning for children, and that's an important aspect, that's an important dimension to this debate.
Virat, this is a multi-layered question that you have posed. If you look at the national education policy, that policy clearly privileges Indian languages and very clearly seeks to give a backseat to English. This is something beyond a shadow of doubt if you read the national education policy. Ideally, we all should be talking of a three-language policy. Mother tongue, Hindi and English seems to be the ideal. But the challenge for a lot of us in the South is we are prepared to go with three languages, mother tongue, Hindi and English. But does North India, where very often Hindi is the mother tongue, are you willing to reciprocate there with a three-language formula? Are you willing to reciprocate with Hindi, English plus a third language? Today, Narasimha Rao ji was quoted as knowing more than 17 languages. Now, the fact that Narasimha Rao ji went out of his way to go beyond his mother tongue to other languages. Now, will those who have Hindi as their mother tongue make that extra effort at national unity to learn a second and third language? Because my challenge is in a lot of the Hindi language, Hindi mother tongue states, we have a one language formula, forget a two language formula and a three language formula. So I think there has to be that uniform effort across the country if you have to have that love for Indian languages. It is very much there in the South, and many times what happened is a reaction in the South comes because you see Hindi as a symbol of North India's domination over the politics of the country.
Okay, so it's also about
opposition
resistance,
to
Professor
Hindi
Shasi.
actually
No, Vasudha,
in the
this is
name
the
of
political
opposition to
subtext.
North India domination.
Sandeep Shastri, you've given the political subtext, but the problem for Vasudha and me now is that Jyotsna Tirunagari is finally joined. She's missed most of the debate. Vasudha, we need to pose that question from the YSRCP to her now.
Bharatram asked a very important question.
I didn't miss Veera. I heard.
Pawan Kalyan's children don't
You've
study
heard.
in Telugu medium or Hindi medium schools. English, I mean, he's talking about livelihood and he's talking about opportunities, and that will be attractive to any household, isn't it?
The sad part is, Vasudha and Veera, the sad part is they don't understand that politics and language are two different aspects. First and foremost thing. As a teacher, I would like to tell you, as an academician, I would say that learning more languages gives you more opportunities. First and foremost thing. That's what we are pitching in. We, when I say we, as teachers, as human beings, as citizens of India, as citizens of Andhra Pradesh, we think, as citizens of Telangana or any other state for that matter, we think that we should learn as many languages as possible to increase the scope of our horizon and also increase the opportunities for us. And see, for example, if you take me, Vasudha, I speak the best of Hindi, I speak the best of English, I speak the best of Telugu, and also I speak a little bit of Kannada, a little bit of Tamil also. Because and I'm learning other languages also. And this has made me more equipped, I would say. And during my school days, yes, Hindi was my second language and it has helped me where I am today. So what's wrong in learning Hindi? My question to whoever is opposing this or whoever is posing that Pawan Kalyan Garu's kids, where are they studying? Or Jagannath Reddy Garu's kids, where are they studying? Or Mr. Bharat's kids, where are they studying? Or my kids, where are they studying? The point is, it's not about kids where the kids are studying. It's about, are you equipping them with strong mother tongue, base and also strong base of other languages. As simple as that.
Okay, so Jyotsna spoke like a proper teacher here. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining me on this broadcast.
No. Let me come in. Let me give a counter for this. Yeah. Miss Vasudha, let me give a point straight to this.
Bharat Garu, there is no counter for
Here,
this.
the debate. The debate.
Bharat Garu, you learn more languages. That makes you more equipped.
Yeah. No. This is the debate between not Hindi versus the regional languages. This is a debate shall be with the rich versus poor. You might learn different languages because you might be affiliated with by all
political
means.
dimensions when it comes to language and politics in India, Vasudha. I think it's an endless debate as far as language and politics are concerned. But thanks very much to all three of you for joining us. But now to trouble for Kannada from Meta, Vasudha. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah has asked Meta to temporarily suspend auto-translation feature for Kannada till the system is improved. This after he raised serious concerns over inaccurate automatic translation of Kannada content on Meta-owned platforms including Facebook and Instagram. He pointed out that it's causing factual errors in government communication, and even a condolence message of the Chief Minister to Saroja Devi, after she passed away, translated into something absolutely factually incorrect for the Chief Minister.
Very intriguing, very interesting, and a symbol of the kind of problems that we face. And Siddaramaiah's media advisor KV Prabhakar has written to Meta on behalf of the Chief Minister, is what we understand. The letter, if you look at it, it notes that auto translations are frequently inaccurate and in some cases also misleading. This poses a significant risk, especially when public communications, official statements or important messages from the Chief Minister and government are incorrectly translated. That's what the letter says. This is a serious issue being flagged by Karnataka and could lead to questions over accuracy in AI, in auto translations, and it is a techno-linguistic issue, if I may say, Veera.
That's right. So how much can you depend on auto-translate? Joining us this evening, noted Kannada academic voice, Professor Chandan Gowda. Also with us, Shruti Mishra of QuantPlay, an AI educator. Chandan, first tell me, we saw that instance of the Chief Minister's condolence message in Kannada being translated into something enormously, tragically, factually incorrect, if I may put it lightly. How serious is this issue? How inaccurate can a Kannada to English auto-translate be? As an academic, any real-time examples that you have struggled with?
Veera, this has happened in Karnataka, but it's truly a pan-India problem. And it's amusing, also disturbing, that it's taken more than 15 years since the officials and politicians routinely take to social media for making official communications public, for them to realize that this could be a problem. Mistranslation is almost always the case. It's never perfect. And in this case, it's proved to be, something that has seemed like, egregiously wrong. But if you think about it, the officials and the politicians ought to have known of this all along. And like a Facebook friend, someone who worked in Facebook told me, posting images of what you want to say is, risk-free, because there's no translation possible of an image, but you've got your message across. That is something that should have happened all along. It's extremely, this should have been checked for a long time ago. It's taken a problem of this kind to bring it to our attention.
Shruti, how do you look at the limits of technology here? Is it going to get better? Are you optimistic that at some point we'll have a tool that will exactly translate the context and subtext of everything that we want to say?
Yes, I definitely believe that we'll be having a tool like this in the future. And again, like what Meta is working on right now is definitely something which needs to be improved. Along with that, something Gemini is also doing, and the Google team is working on something which will help us use all the Indic languages and everything, all the languages which is in India will be easily translated via that. So I know for a fact that Google is definitely working on this, and this will be very helpful for all the people, everybody in India in the future. For Meta, I'm sure they are working on this, and I believe they don't have sufficient data right now to train their models. But in future, I'm sure we'll be having something way better than this.
Right. Mr. Gowda,
everyone has a funny story, right, Vasudha?
Right,
everyone has a funny story. When you try to put something and try to translate, you can't yet trust AI. It's not just Siddaramaiah, as Chandan points out, many years it's been going on.
Absolutely. I mean, there was this one time when Zomato became Tomato in my story, and there are these stories that we can keep talking about. Chandan Gowda, how do you look at this aspect, this philosophical aspect that, is it okay to even demand technology be completely accurate with our thinking? Because this is just a tool. It's not supposed to be as good as a human being is.
Yes, I mean, like the co-panelist, she's optimistic that technology will eventually become perfect. But I don't know, it could get better. But as far as official communication goes, we know the disasters we have suffered in our own personal tweets and messages. Imagine when the public is being communicated with on matters of public importance. I don't think the government should ever take a chance and hope that AI will someday get it right, but ensure that it posts images of its text, and if it wants translation available, it must have an in-house person to check it before it becomes public.
But Chandan, there's also the question of before you roll out technology, and I think Shruti, you can weigh in on this, the ethicality of rolling out an imperfect technology. I mean, is it the responsibility of big tech platforms to not use guinea pigs in real time, people as guinea pigs in real time to test their technology? They need to make sure that it's perfectly on, and who has the liability? The translation, while it can be a joking matter in some cases, can lead to serious disinformation being spread.
Yes, that is true. And I also believe like when they are doing this, when people are actually reading all the information from the internet, specifically from people like the CM or any renowned personality on the internet, they are definitely taking it for serious. And all these announcements, when these announcement reaches out to millions of people out there, they are actually shaping public understanding, and they should be definitely be taken very seriously by these organizations like big techs. So I definitely believe when we talk about the perfection, I think that is something we cannot say that will happen in the future for sure. I mean, I'm not very sure, but it can definitely become more reliable, transparent, or like aligned with our values in the longer run.
Right. Chandan Gowda, how do you see the socio-political reflection of this? Because, you want your tool to be as perfect, because this is about language, and language has suddenly, in the last many years, become so important to our identity. Do you see reflection of such sentiment in these demands?
It's just before I get to your question, Veera, you're absolutely right. It's an ethical matter, and I think Meta ought to have actually warned the government beforehand. Look, there is this possibility, please be careful. But now, coming up to your question, Vasudha, I think, if we are only just being able to get a sense of what, these technologies are doing to our minds and creativity, at one level, it's easy, it makes everything easy. But at another level, it's actually reducing the complexity of communication. It is suggesting words for you to reach out to. So I think you're actually becoming a bit lazy in the mind. And I think communication is becoming a lot more standardized than it used to be. So these have deep costs for how we think about things. I think it's an extraordinarily important matter.
I think it's important not to take technology for granted and actually be a multilinguist if possible. Try and learn as much languages as possible to at least make out the mistakes that technology can make. But thanks to the two of you for joining us. Vasudha, I wonder how many languages you speak.
Well, I speak 4 languages, Hindi, Gujarati, Tamil, and of course English. But we all want our tech to be so much... Yes, Veera?
Truly Indian, I say.
Absolutely, but we all want tech to be so much better than us, and I have just been addicted to using ChatGPT, and this story has really made me think if I should be actually, using those checks and balances to ensure that the translations are not out of place.
All right, that's all we have time for on The Southern View. That's an important lesson for all of you out there. But news and updates continue right here on NDTV.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
तू ही तो है जिसकी सच्चाई वाली क्लैरिटी की वजह से मैं आज यहाँ हूँ।
गोल्ड प्लस सिल्वॉक्सी मिरर्स, ऐसी क्लैरिटी कि आपको सिर्फ सच नजर आए, चाहे कितने भी साल बीत जाएं।
फिनिस्टा विंडोज, ब्यूटीफुल एंड ड्यूरेबल डिजाइन्स, इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनिस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
Find Finer Finesta.
आप एक गुंडे कैसे बिहेव कर रहे हो?
सुनो मेरी
आप तो एक
आपने मेरा
Gaikwad is running away from NDTV's questions.
That issue is not before the High Command. It was not discussed so far.
Kolhapuri couples costing $1,300.
The noise we made finally got heard, and it's so nice that somebody took action on it.
Pictures and videos of women that were taken in the Bengaluru metro. Now on Church Street and other prominent places in Bengaluru, we managed to arrest both of them.
We are bringing you now, for the very first time, is that the Air India preliminary crash report is out.
This 15-page report into 10 key findings of what really is being said in this probe report.
What's reporting without impact? NDTV 24/7.
जनता के पास सवाल ही सवाल है, जवाब ढूंढने को वो देखती है न्यूज़ और देखती है यहाँ तो सवालों का माया जाल है। ऊपर से ये अलग फाइट है, कोई पूरा लेफ्ट तो कोई पूरा राइट है, बीच में मुद्दे के साथ कौन है, जनता को जवाब चाहिए। इसीलिए सवालों की परेड नहीं, मैं लाऊंगा खबरों की कचहरी। मैं शुभांकर मिश्रा, मेरे साथ देखिए कचहरी रात 8 बजे सिर्फ एनडीटीवी इंडिया पर।
A 36-hour non-stop flight by a small pack of B-2s. A lot of other aircraft were also involved, we know that. But let's talk about the B-2 flight itself. They took off from Missouri. 36 hours later, they landed back without once landing. They delivered their bombs 18 hours later over Iran and then came back. How was this possible? Because the Department of Defense says at no point of time on this 36-hour journey was there any reason to believe that they were either detected or reacted to?
Well, they weren't detected, because if they were, then they'd be in some serious trouble. It's one of the most unbelievable missions, one of the most historic long-range strike missions. There were 7 B-2s, which by B-2 standards is a fair number of them. There was deception in the very beginning. There was a sense that some of them were flying west across the Pacific. In fact, they weren't. And even if a few planes were positioned in one area, they were not going to be flying the Pacific route.
That was the big distraction.
On social media said, you see the bombers, they're now flying west, so you know what's coming your way. But no. They flew them east across the Atlantic. There were 125 aircraft in total involved. Refuelers were involved at every stage. There were fighter aircraft which linked up 4th generation and 5th generation planes, 5th generation being stealth aircraft. And then after an 18-hour flight one way, right, they shortly before they struck their targets, which was primarily Fordo, using a remarkable weapon which we'll talk about called the GBU-57, 30,000-pound weapon.
Monster.
Before that took place, there were several land attack cruise missiles launched from American submarines and possibly destroyers as well. Possibly in the Persian Gulf. Submarines, they don't tell us a location. That could be as far out.
The American media says it was one submarine called the USS Georgia.
So again, location, I'm not sure if that would be Persian Gulf, could be the Mediterranean, could be the North Indian Ocean as well. But this is what I found interesting. By the time those land attack cruise missiles, Tomahawks, actually struck their targets in Natanz and Esfahan, the American B-2s had already left. So in other words, they launched their missiles first, but by the time the missiles hit, they were the last to hit their impact points. But that's just the nature of the weapons, which are a bit slower than, the aircraft going in the B-2s and dropping their bombs and then getting out.
A question that I'm often asked, Vishnu, is, 125 aircraft were accompanying at various points of time. You know, it's not like it was this big swarm of aircraft flying together, which people may be tempted to think when they hear the word 125 aircraft were involved. But tell me something. When the B-2s entered Iranian airspace or sensitive or contested airspace at any point of time, would the B-2s have been alone or would those fifth-generation fighters have been with them?
The fifth-generation fighters would have been with them, fourth-generation fighters as well. And what we do know is that escort and support aircraft linked up with them and in a sense cleared the path of the B-2s, because what did they do? They deployed high-speed suppression fires against surface-to-air missiles. So they were being absolutely clear. Now, the Iranian radars wouldn't have likely picked up the B-2s at all. It's got a radar signature of smaller than a sparrow.
Tiny.
So you don't necessarily pick that up at all. But they weren't taking any chances. They were clearing the airspace for them, taking out through search and destroy missions, surface-to-air missile sites. The B-2s went in, dropped their bombs with precision, impact points in Fordo, and we've got those images up. We've got fantastic satellite images, even new ones which have come in, showing the exact penetration points in Fordo. They then got out. And obviously, they were accompanied by, I would suggest, F-22s and F-35s. This is the primary role, or one of the primary roles.
So those are the ones firing anti-radiation missiles, high-speed anti-radiation missiles. Good evening, you're with India Matters on Thursday night. The Air India AI 171 crash preliminary probe report has left more questions than answers, and that's one of the reasons why so many people and so much of the Western press has been repeatedly calling this a pilot suicide case. Well, on tonight's show, you're going to see the angriest panel of reporters pointing an angry finger directly at those investigating this crash right here in India. Something deeply troubling is unfolding in the story of Air India Flight AI 171. The Wall Street Journal this morning has published new alleged details from the cockpit of the Dreamliner. The most explosive, that co-pilot Clive Kundar allegedly asked Captain Sabharwal why he had moved the fuel control switches from the run to the cutoff position, cutting fuel to both engines and destroying the aircraft. The same switch movement that is now believed to have precipitated the accident. Kundar, the pilot flying, reportedly expressed shock and panic. Sabharwal, pilot monitoring, remained calm. This is what has been reported by the Wall Street Journal. And as you can imagine, it has triggered widespread shock and outrage, especially in the pilot community. If true, this is no longer just an accident. It is no longer a mystery. It potentially becomes a crime scene in the sky. And yet India's own Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, or AAIB, an agency entrusted with the truth, has woken up only now to call the Wall Street Journal story unverified, selective and irresponsible. Silence so far, allowing all this speculation to plant seeds of suspicion and doubt in the minds of millions of people across the world. Strange words from an organization that's released a preliminary report so vague and carefully worded, it's become a runway for speculation rather than a path to clarity. Let's be very blunt tonight. This is the same AAIB whose initial report left room open for interpretations of deliberate pilot action without stating it outright, conveniently allowing headlines to do the dirty work, only leaving one small tantalizing scrap of conversation, that too not in direct quotes. Now, under global scrutiny and domestic disbelief, it issues a statement after the narrative damage is done, after the truth has been stirred up. So we must now ask, was the ambiguity of the report by design? Is the system simply sluggish, or is it unprepared? Or is there a deeper interest in framing this tragedy as a clean case of human deliberate action and then simply moving on? Because if what the Wall Street Journal has reported is true, this isn't just about the pilots. It's about oversight, training, mental health, cockpit dynamics, and yes, potential culpability. The only way forward is full cockpit audio transparency. not selective leaks, not bureaucratic defensiveness, and certainly not post-facto outrage at international journalism. The lives lost on AI 171 and their families deserve the facts, and they deserve the truth. Let me now show you what the Wall Street Journal has reported that has created this entire wave of outrage. These are details that they've reported of that crucial cockpit conversation, which was left completely ambiguous in the preliminary probe report. The Wall Street Journal quotes unnamed officials as saying that it was co-pilot Clive Kundar who asked Captain Sumit Sabharwal why the latter had moved the switches to the cutoff position. The report says that co-pilot Kundar expressed surprise and panic in the cockpit, but that Captain Sabharwal remained completely calm. The report says Kundar was the pilot flying, so his hands were on the stick. Sabharwal was the pilot monitoring, so his hands were free. The insinuation is that his hands were free to move those switches to the cutoff position. The Wall Street Journal report also says that criminal authorities should review the matter as a potential crime rather than a safety mishap. The Indian government has called this news break one-sided, and as we now know, the AAIB has put out a detailed statement calling everything that the Wall Street Journal has reported as one-sided, unverified, and irresponsible. Now let me tell you what the Indian Express newspaper here in India has reported this morning, because this adds a completely different angle to what has been pushed so far by the Western media in terms of pilot suicide. This is a front page report which talks about how the probe is looking at the possible uncommanded transition of the fuel control switches. In other words, not pilot action, but uncommanded, some kind of mechanical failure which made those switches move by themselves. An electrical snag was logged hours before the AI 171 flight on that very same aircraft. This was not known before it was reported in this newspaper. Number two, the defect was logged in stabilizer position transducer. That is a sensor in the tail of the plane, the slag in the sensor that controls the aircraft's pitch, that it's the nose up-down movement. The snag can trigger incorrect flight control responses. It can even trigger unintended fuel cutoff signals, according to this Indian Express report. 2 recent electrical snags led to flight cancellations of this very aircraft, AI Flight 171. One recent electrical snag was a false fuel system warning, and before that, there was another one as well. This is only to say that snags and electrical faults have been recorded on this aircraft. And in the wake of this front page story in the Wall Street Journal, I'm joined now by Mary F. Schiavo. She used to be the top aviation watchdog in the United States and has since done pioneering work as an aviation safety lawyer in the space of whistleblowers and aviation safety in general. Ms. Schiavo, welcome. Thanks for being with me here on NDTV. I'd like to begin by asking you for your views on this new Wall Street Journal article, which has added another layer of detail in its reportage of the AI 171 crash, where they've basically reported that the pilots did it. That one pilot switched those fuel control switches off, and another was panicked and confused, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah, well, first of all, as to panic and confusion, in the situation in which the pilots, were in, what they faced would cause certainly an alarm. They were able to respond and try to restart the engines, so they weren't so panicked that they could not act. But in any case where you have a highly computerized aircraft with a million lines of code doing something that both the pilot flying and pilot not flying both said they did not do the fuel cutoff. One pilot asked the other, did you cut off? The other said, no, I did not. So taking facts, and remember, that's all the preliminary report is, the facts that are known at the date they put that out at 30 days. They have a mystery, but a very terrifying and serious condition in the cockpit. At that point in takeoff, right when you reach 180 knots, your nose is supposed to be pointed up above the horizon, and you're supposed to have full thrust to climb. all of a sudden you don't have full thrust and your plane levels off instead of being pointed up to climb. It's a very tough situation. The Wall Street Journal article is, I'm sorry to say, but it is just taking this preliminary report, which was very straightforward, does not blame the pilots, and runs afoul with it. There is no evidence in the preliminary report or anywhere that this was an intentional act by either pilot. There's certainly no evidence at this point of suicide or what would be mass murder. No way.
Is that a possibility, though, Ms. Chavo? Is deliberate pilot action a possibility, or is that not at all a possibility in your view?
There's nothing that points to that at this point, especially since we've had a prior incident on a 787 Dreamliner that's very similar. Aldepon Airways back in 2019, the National Transportation Safety Board investigated it and found that the aircraft itself put the engines into fuel control cutoff because the plane mistakenly thought it was already on the ground. And so we already know that. So no, I don't think there's anything at this point to point to that. I have worked many, many crashes over the years. I've worked probably hundreds of cases, but I have worked several cases where pilot suicide, pilot murder was alleged or blamed, and in all cases where it turned out to be the case, there's evidence. There's evidence on the cockpit voice recording. There's other evidence outside. Here we see none of that, and we have to give the investigators, the AAIB, time to do their investigation. This investigation, this is hugely important. The first crash of a 787. Yeah. This investigation is not done in 30 days. This investigation has barely started. It will take a year, probably more, to do this investigation.
And what you're saying, Ms. Chavo, then, is that from what we know and from all the crashes that you've seen in the past, this preliminary report does not point to deliberate pilot action, but does very much point to the possibility of technical or mechanical failure?
Well, yes, and preliminary reports do not. That's the whole point of a preliminary report. There are standards, international standards, as to what you're supposed to do in safety. It's called a safety investigation because you investigate so it doesn't ever happen again. And in the preliminary report, you're only supposed to put out at 30 days what you know, what the facts are. Now, I think they would have been aided in their cause of putting out only the facts had they put out the transcript, a transcribed version of the cockpit voice record rather than summarizing. I think that's where the trouble lies here. But this report makes no recommendations. It makes no finding of fact, makes no finding of cause. And they're not supposed to. The preliminary report is not supposed to do that because they have the whole investigation ahead of them. This investigation will be thousands of pages long. The docket alone, that's when they publish all the evidence that they have gathered. It will be, it could be 1 million pages. This investigation is so big and so important because an aircraft is a flying computer. There are 1 million lines of code or more on this aircraft. And because we know the aircraft can shut off the fuel by itself without the pilots touching it, because it's happened before, the investigators will go through all of that. They will not fail to look at the aircraft, the lines of code, the flight control operation by the plane and by the pilots. They will have, when this is over, they will look at all this, but there is no blame, there is no cause, there are no recommendations in the preliminary report, and there are not supposed to be those things in the preliminary report. That's not the purpose of a preliminary report.
Flight 171, Ms. Chavo, was in the air, as you of course know, for 32 seconds. Do you think that the preliminary report could and should have had a full transcript of what was said in the cockpit rather than just, paraphrase one scrap of conversation?
Well, so what usually happens is you do the transcript, and it's actually a written transcript. In the U.S., you cannot release the actual audio recordings. Yeah. But usually what happens is the investigators then post that transcript on the official investigation website that's in what's called the docket, so that people can see it for themselves. I do think they didn't do themselves any favors by paraphrasing and putting that in, but there's certainly nothing illegal or wrong with them doing that. And the transcript is also subject to interpretation When you do an investigation, you have a team of experts listening to that cockpit voice recorder over and over again, listening for inflections, listening for other sounds, the sound of a click, the sound of a movement. And so it could be that the transcript is not ready yet. And that is certainly understandable. This is a very important transcript.
You've had all of this rich experience in aviation safety and litigation, Ms. Chavo. What does the coverage of this crash tell you on the aspect of the angle that this was pilot suicide or deliberate action? What does that tell you?
Well, you know, saying what it may have been, if you include obviously the aircraft, other issues, many things. For example, people note, people have coverage has said, well, you know, that they looked at the fuel. You know, obviously there were other possible causes and they aren't done looking at. They did note that they took samples of the fuel and it was not fouled, meaning it wasn't bad fuel.
Yeah.
There are other things. For example, they'll be looking at whether the engines had vapor lock. There are situations where the engines themselves, the fuel gets blocked. There are hundreds of things it could have been, but because of this paraphrasing, I think people have jumped to the conclusion at this point with the evidence that we see, or rather that we don't see. How do you prove a negative that something did not happen? There's just no reason to jump to the conclusion that people are, and it can hurt the investigation. It's a well-known problem in investigation. It's called investigation bias, where you jump to the conclusion first, and then you try to make the facts match your conclusion. And many of investigation has gone afoul by trying to prove what you want the investigation to say rather than where the facts lead you. But I have no doubt that the AIB will do this over the coming months and perhaps years, because this is a worldwide important investigation. It has ramifications literally for flight around the globe.
My final question to you, Ms. Chavo, is on the issue of vested interests. A large part of your work, has revealed this aspect of aviation accident investigations, vested interests, the big players, those who stand to gain from certain angles and certain agendas or certain narratives. Do you see that here as well?
Well, yes, in every investigation, remember the parties to the investigation, the official investigation, are those who have an interest in the outcome. Strangely, however, they never include the families of the passengers.
Yeah.
But, for example, the airline, the pilots union, Boeing, the engine manufacturers, General Electric of Cincinnati, Ohio, governments, by the way, the makers and contractors for the electronics in the plane, they are all, quote, parties to the investigation because they have an interest in the outcome. And obviously they can also have a huge financial interest in the outcome. But, trying to skew the investigation can also lead you into great trouble. For example, if you speak out of turn and make public statements and you're part of the investigation, you can be excluded from the investigation. The rules allow the AIB to do that.
Yeah.
You mouth off in the press, part of the investigation, you're out. And also, if you mislead, for example, right now in the United States of America, Boeing is facing criminal, not civil, criminal charges in the United States District Court for the District of Texas in Dallas-Fort Worth because they misled and made false statements, allegedly. The plea hasn't gone through yet, to the United States Federal Aviation Administration. So you better not mislead the government, because in the United States, it can lead you to a criminal charge. And I think that was a sobering mood that had to happen because of the 737 MAX 8 crashes. And that weighs heavily on everyone's mind, hopefully, at Boeing.
Mary Chavo, thanks very much for speaking to NDTV. Like you said, the preliminary report was 15 pages long. The final report is potentially going to be thousands of pages long. And we will wait for that and hope to have another more detailed conversation with you. But thank you very much for your words and your time here on NDTV.
Thank you.
And to talk about what the Wall Street Journal has now reported, we're joined live by Captain Sam Thomas, President of the Airline Pilots Association of India, which has made multiple representations on not just the preliminary report, but also on some of this reporting. Captain Ehsan Khalid is an aviation expert, instructor, and a veteran Air Force pilot. And Sanjay Lazar is an aviation expert and someone who has represented families having lost his own in a terrorist bombing of the Kanishka Air India flight in '85. Thanks all of you for being with me. Captain Thomas, your first words on that Wall Street Journal article that appeared on the front pages today. We've told our viewers what's in it, what it has said about the pilots, what it has said about the conversation. Your views, sir.
Yeah, firstly, why we are upset about the whole situation is because we were objecting on two verticals. One is speculation, and the other is the absence of any qualified expert in this AAIB report. Now, as far as the speculation is concerned, we are okay with the media or the journalists speculating. We believe that speculation is a good part of investigative journalism. However, we object to the pilots or so-called experts who came on board and were speculating on day one. They said it's a bird hit. On day two, they said it's an overloaded airplane. Day three, they said something else. What we are objecting to the media is, why did you call him on day 4? You called him on day 5, 6, till such time that he insinuated that this is something that the captain has done with a motive to end his own life, which is farthest from the truth, and you should not have said something like that. Now, as far as the report is concerned, we don't believe that this is completely Indian controlled. We put it to you that this is a dictated letter which you have not even bothered to sign, and you have released that in the middle of the night. You cannot even get the full form of FADEC correctly, and you cannot get the issue date of Sumit's license correct. How do I expect you to go through the entire report? I don't want to see past those 3 lines. And you have released selectively at the order of somebody 1 line. Now we don't know who said to whom, and there is a tonality to a conversation. These are not 2 people on a Tinder date. So please be responsible, and that is what we are objecting to. Use subject matter expert, use the ATC officers, use cabin crew, use 787 actively flying pilots. Take us as observers. We'd like to go through the entire report or the DFDR data, and we can throw better light on you rather than using somebody who's non-technical and from a non-civilian background.
Captain Thomas, the Wall Street Journal specifies, quoting unnamed officials, that it was Clive Kundar, the co-pilot, who was the pilot flying, and he expressed shock, confusion, panic, and that Captain Sabharwal was calm. And the insinuation there is that it was Captain Sabharwal, they say, attributing to unknown officials, who pulled those 2 switches to the cutoff position. That's what the Wall Street Journal is saying.
Yeah, they've been fed that information, and it's our fault. It's not their fault. If I were to be heading this committee, I would have sat there, given a piece of paper to each of those NTSB and Boeing and the English investigators, and said, sign this. Whatever goes out of this room goes out through me and not through anybody else. If you cannot maintain that confidentiality, get out from here. Wait for me to complete the investigation, and I will give you the report. You can do what you want. Now, by including them selectively, now you've set a narrative. You've set the narrative in such a calculated manner that no matter what proof I give you, you will still nail me, the pilot. You have already done that. Half the world thinks that, and half the world thinks that Indian pilots are morons. This has happened because of the shoddy investigation and the shoddy way things have proceeded in India.
Who do you think is gaining from this narrative, Captain Thomas? You're saying this information has been fed to the Wall Street Journal, and at NDTV we agree that you can't shoot the messenger. The Wall Street Journal has reported this information. Whatever their motives may be, we don't want to question that. But who are the vested interests you're seeing behind the scenes here?
No, this happens not just in India. It happens the world over. If Sully were to be dead, this report would never have come out of his innocence. Now, with the 737 MAX crash, what about the first crash? If you had woken up at that time and had a conscience, you would have said, hey, I need something to set my airplane all right. You kept quiet. Unfortunately, the Ethiopian accident happened. Luckily, the Ethiopians were much more intelligent than all of us. They did their in-house investigation, and that's when it came out that you could not avoid the existence of MCAS, which is a renegade system that crashes your airplane. So there are many, many vested interests, not just one. Let's not just look at the OEM or some investigating body. Everybody who is not telling the truth has something to gain. And this is the narrative that is being set. And we will object to anything without substantial proof if you nail the pilot. Please look at your airplanes. Please look at your personnel. Look at everybody else. Then if there is an issue of pilot error, we are willing to accept that, but substantiate it with proof. Otherwise, go home.
What is the DGCA saying to you, Captain Thomas? You've met them, I imagine, on more than one occasion. The system is listening to the multiple representations you've made and the concerns you've put forward. What are they saying to you?
The DG is a fine gentleman. He didn't even know that we were not being involved in this. He assumed that we were a part of this anyway, as is the case in many of those civilized societies. So the AAIB does not come under the DGCA technically.
Yeah.
It's under the Home Ministry and supposed to be independent. How can you be independent when you are under the Home Ministry, where every of your reports are being corrected and rewritten by somebody? So they welcomed our inputs, and they have granted us a status of subject matter experts and stakeholders. Therefore, the DG was very kind enough to say that, hey, anything regarding airplanes, even in future, would involve your association. That's the Airline Pilots Association of India. And we are very thankful to him for that. Unfortunately, the logistical and regulatory framework does not allow us to jump into AAIB right away. Therefore, Captain Randhawa of the Federation of Indian Pilots has asked for reconstitution of this committee and, if need be, a change and a legal oversight. That's what we are sticking to.
A judicial probe is the other phrase that has been used by some. Sanjay Lazar, who needs no introduction, has also been asking for that from the very beginning. A reconstitution of the probe panel, legal oversight, judicial probe. Sanjay Lazar, could those things even happen right now?
Absolutely, Shiv. Thank you very much for having me on the show, and good evening to my other guests on the show. First of all, this Wall Street Journal report is rubbish. It's shoddy. It's crap. The preliminary report also, let me say, is crap, and there's so many holes in it. It's like Swiss cheese, and it shames me that we are such a banana republic. We are the third largest aviation market in the world, the fourth largest economy, and this is the kind of report that our independent aviation investigation accident bureau comes out with. It's ridiculous. Let's, this needs to be thrown in the bin. The CVR was not even disclosed. You look at the kind of, neglect in the report itself. No timestamps. There are on the CCTV video, there is no timestamp. There are no, there's so much of significant audio that has been left out. And they themselves admit in the report at page 12 that they have 49 hours of DFDR and 2 hours of CVR. Of even previous flights. Why didn't you release this 34 seconds? Why did you leave the world to speculate? And of course, I know perhaps the NDA was signed by NTSB or whoever, but how have they gone and leaked it to third parties? What was, and that too 4 days in advance. Remember, John Ostrover had it last Tuesday, and he'd started the leak. So, absolutely ridiculous. I am completely in favor of moving a high court and getting a judicial probe. This AAIB can continue what it wants to do, but there has to be subpoenas. There's not a 787 pilot on the committee. There's not a pilot. There's not an engineer who's trained on the 787. What kind of a report are you doing? You look at some of the facts they've put forth, ridiculous. And what is our government doing? So, Shiv, we've had, the minister came out to say, I support pilots and cabin crew, and that's when he saw the storm of public opinion, and all the news channels on that Saturday. But let's understand, we've dropped the ball on this. And we've made Sumit and late Sumit and Clyde take the hit for this. Absolutely unforgivable, according to me. no CVR, no timestamps. And what about considering, we talk about the 2018 FAA, the 2015/25 CAA. What about the 2022 Boeing and FAA document on the fire switches, which say that FOD would disengage this? What about the ANI case? And I know you've had Mary Shavo also. She's given reports and reports, so many things. There are also EEC faults which could jam the TCMA, which do result in uncommanded activation of the engine fuel shutoff. Why are we leaving all this to chance? I mean, our AAIB has really done a very shoddy job. And I think it's high time, some legal entity steps in and takes charge of this, where they can subpoena people. I'm very sorry to be so harsh, but I think it's about the basic that we need to do.
Captain Thomas, those who go against what you're saying, would maybe suggest that that you're not keeping an open mind. Why isn't the possibility of deliberate pilot action, in your purview? Let the probe complete itself. How would you answer that question, sir? There are those who will attack you, and I'm sure you've been attacked in the last few days, who will say that yours is an emotional argument. As a pilot, you feel a responsibility to defend the reputations of pilots, and therefore you're coming from a place of emotion and not from technical facts. What would you say to that?
Firstly, you show me the technical fact by which you are saying that Sumit is at fault.
Yeah.
And secondly, emotional or not, all Indians are emotional. It is my solemn duty to protect my pilots. What I'm saying is, what charge am I not being open? All I'm telling you is go through the entire list, be transparent. If it's a pilot error, it's a pilot error. It's not going to be the first pilot error in the history of aviation. If it's going to be something more sinister, let it be out. Why did you insinuate the whole thing? And is the first thing that you're going to do pilot error? And that also, what is it to substantiate that? Who said to whom about these fuel cutoff switches? And if I give you a scenario of on liftoff after 2.5 seconds, you have seen loss of thrust on both engines. My checklist calls for fuel cutoff switches to cut off and then to run, press and hold the rat for 1 second. What if I had done that? Now by releasing that one line and no timestamp, I don't know what has happened. I also believe that there is another theory, and I can go with that. This air crash investigation is not about your theory, my emotion and my technical incompetence. No. There is no word like it could have happened like this, it should have happened like this, maybe this happened, so-and-so said to somebody. No, it is purely on facts, on data. And whatever you say, you have to prove. Whatever I say, I will prove. At this time, I challenge you, I dare you, you have no data to prove that Sumit made that mistake, let alone blame him for this entire murder, homicide and all those fancy terms. So go through the entire with transparency, go to the entire data with transparency, come out with it, we'll accept it. We will accept it. If it's a pilot error, it's a pilot error. You have no choice but to accept it. But prove it. Don't insinuate the pilots.
The Indian government, one of the AI crash investigators' formal comment that we've gotten on the Wall Street Journal article, and I wanted your comment, all of your comments. Captain Khalid, appreciate your patience. I will come to you in a moment. They've said there's an appeal to the foreign media calling these reports irresponsible. The probe team has slammed these media reports, called them unverified, too early to reach such conclusions. This is amidst this entire pilot suicide theory. So there appears to be a kind of rebuttal or a rejoinder to the Wall Street Journal article in some form by one or all of the members of the AI crash investigation team. How would you, is it too late? Would you respond? What would you say to that, Captain Thomas?
Too little, too late. And I was speaking to BBC, and while I was trying to tell them that this is not the case, they said, hey, listen, we are not quoting our sources, we are quoting your sources. It's your friend in India who, very renowned pilot in India, who should have been an astronaut. Unfortunately, he was not, but he gave the statement that it's so they're quoting him. So shame on me, shame on the entire Indian pilot community, and shame on the media for carrying such irresponsible report. So too little, too late. I'm sorry.
Captain Khalid, very quickly coming to you. You've heard the investigators call the Wall Street Journal article irresponsible, jumping to conclusions, that there is nothing of that kind that is out in the preliminary report. What would you say to that?
Okay, first of all, let me tell you that I'm really appreciative of Captain Sam Thomas as ALPA representative, that I can truly believe that, should something wrong happen to me or any other pilot, there is someone who will be fighting.
Yeah, true.
Okay. Because, either this entire inquiry should have been confidential or it should be open. It should not be selectively open. It should not be selectively leaked out and yet kept confidential from me and Captain Thomas. Wall Street Journal had the AIB report, preliminary report, everything line by line, 48 hours before it even was put on their website. Even then, it was not dated and it is not shipped. You wouldn't know whether it is 11th or 12th. What is the date of AIB report?
Correct.
Is it 11th or is it 12th?
It's on the 12th morning, early in the morning at midnight.
You can correct yourself. You can correct yourself because FAA directive states AIB report as on 11th of July. That is the kind of, it is not a report that ALPA can actually go to the court and put it because it has no date, no reference number, no signature. That is one.
Yeah.
Number two, it is nobody's case that the dead pilots are putting excessive amount of pressure to the AIB and to the government and their economic interest and business interest to keep the CVR secret. Is it anybody's case? It is not the case. So, whose pressure is it, despite everybody asking that let everything come out in open? Because anyway it is in the open for Wall Street Journal and New York Times. Why it is not open for you?
Yeah.
Why do you have to now ask me? Yes, like Captain Sam Thomas said, that, maybe, every one of us is interested in finding out the truth, right? If the truth is that the pilots made an error, we would learn and we would have a better procedures tomorrow, right? If the truth is that the pilot committed suicide, show it by the data with 2,000 parameters in the DFDR.
Yes.
And 4 channels of CVR. If you can't reconstruct every event of that flight, then why did we have all these things to start with? Okay, if you can't read it, like Sam Thomas says, there's not even a single pilot who is 787 qualified or not, or engineer qualified, even I am not. Okay, but I understand if you stay in cockpit for 40 years, there couldn't be anyone more who would know what aviation is all about. Okay, so, but you need to have people who have worked on 787 for last maybe 15 years, 10 years.
Yeah.
They would tell that this is the problem, right? There is who on the AIB can tell you what is the procedure of releasing the aircraft under MEL if the post transducer has been faulty? Is there anyone who can say that? Or who has released the aircraft? It's a technical statement, but you won't know it. Sam knows it.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So we want to find out faults if it is in us. When in us means the pilot community, but we are not a community. We are individuals. Individuals can make an error. If it is an honest error, it is the biggest service that we can do to the departed soul. That fine, any one of us can do mistake. You did it, and it was not intentional. You see the medias, no matter how much I talk on this or on 10 different channels, we will get maybe 40,000 views.
Yeah.
There is a guy like Stevie, Captain Stevie, 5 million views. On what? Murder plot. What murder plot is he talking about? Does he have the CVR? If there is not a murder plot, tomorrow.
No, I understand.
Will he get 15 million times say sorry to the entire family and the people?
No, people will move on. But I hear what you're saying, Captain Khalid. And I wanted to say that the comments coming in from the AAIB, the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, is a full statement that we've been putting out here on NDTV for the last couple of hours. It's a four-paragraph statement where it says the AAIB, and I want to just read out some excerpts and I'll get reactions from all three of you. It is essential to respect the sensitivity of the loss faced by family members of deceased passengers, crew of the aircraft, and other deceased persons on the ground. It has come to our attention that certain sections of the international media are repeatedly attempting to draw conclusions through selective and unverified reporting. Such actions are irresponsible, especially while the investigation remains ongoing. We urge both the public and the media to refrain from spreading premature narratives that risk undermining the integrity of the investigative process.
With 30 million views, the damage has already been done.
The last paragraph, Sanjay Lazar, I'll come to you, then I'll go to Captain Thomas. Sanjay, they say, the AAIB appeals to all concerned to await publication of final investigation report after completion of the investigation. AAIB will also publish updates as and when required, which have technical and public interest. Technical and public interest. Sanjay, what do you say to that? There seems to be urgent damage control because they've looked really bad.
It's nonsensical. Okay, they have woken up. If you go back to John's first post, it's on the 9th of this month. Today is the 17th. It's 8 days, 8 full days. Like Captain was pointing out, 30 million views later, you're talking about this. I'm saying not 30, they're 300 million because there are 10 or 15 of these jokers out in the market who've been talking rubbish. You asked Captain Sam Thomas a question, who benefited? I don't know if I did an op-ed for the NDTV today.
Yeah.
And if you read it, I have pointed out to the Dow Jones Index. If you look at the share price of the Boeing, the day the accident took place, it was flatlined at $203. Do you know what it is today? $230. It's gone up 13% after the release of the report. That one sentence in the report has given it a 13% rise, $27 rise. That is for Boeing. It tells you what's going on here, Shiv. There is corporate America. There is big corporates who are at play here, and they're maligning a poor guy who's dead. I have flown with him on the Airbus, so I know him, and I'll tell you, it's hurtful to all the families, not only to his family, the first officer's family, the cabin crew, everybody, the passengers' families. And what is the government doing? I mean, they've kept quiet for all these 8-9 days. It's been there's been a storm on social media. Nobody's talking. I'm sorry. I really still strongly in my heart believe you need a judicial probe. Let these guys do what they're doing. If they want to rejig the committee, let them do it. But there should be a judge or a retired judge or a high court judge who is observing the nonsense that these guys are doing and ensuring complete transparency. They are going to be their own judges here. When he puts out that we will give technical and factual reports from time to time if necessary, they are going to be their own judges. No, they've lost their chance. The baby has gone out with the bathwater. I'm sorry. It's too little, too late.
Captain Thomas, too little, too late. The damage has been done. 30 million views, 300 million views. And then you have this one-page, beautifully formatted 4-paragraph statement from the AAIB. Has this ship sailed? Has the ship of, credibility already sailed as far as this investigation is concerned?
Yes. I'm sorry to be very harshly speaking. I'm normally not a harsh speaking person, but where was your sensitivity when you had to release that 15-page report? Now you want me to be sensitive after my friend is thrown under the bus because of your stupid reporting. And yes, I agree that there needs judicial oversight, and these kind of, you're doing more damage by coming out with these insensitive reports, and now coming out to say that the public needs to maintain restraint. Firstly, you need to maintain restraint. You need to know at least how to take care of a report that happened in your room. If you can't take that, then I'm sorry. I don't know how you're going to take this report forward. And you set the narrative already. You set the narrative for my friend, and now you are going round and round in circles, dancing to the tune of the Western media, and you have branded him as a murderer. You had no right to do that, and you have done it prematurely. That's even worse. See what goes on through the minds of family. And please, what about the cabin crew? Did anybody speak about those cabin crew? Do you know what goes into a mind of an air traffic controller under whose watch a crash happens? The PTSD there is also severe.
Yeah.
Okay, so we must be sensitive to them as well and do not release such horrendous reports. If you don't know your job, you're free to go home. This is a country of 1.4 billion people. We have experts. In one city of Bangalore that I am from, I will give you more experts than what you can combine and put from wherever you got them. So please you first be sensitive before you ask me to be sensitive.
Can this be fixed? Final question, Captain Thomas, and if I have time, I'll get the other two gentlemen in. Can this still be fixed? Is there time to fix it?
Now it's incumbent on the media. We have only source we have is the media. You please help us fix it, because it's a narrative game. Like Mr. Lazar had said, it's 1 billion, 2 billion views or 30,000 views or whatever views they are. I'm from an older generation. This view and social media validation is not required for me. So I come from a different, or rather, and say Khalid sir would be in that bracket as well. So we don't need validation by social media, and we expect the media, particularly big media houses, to come forward and ensure that in the interest of public safety, a fair investigation by qualified personnel be carried out, even if it is pilot error, be that as it may. We are willing to accept it, substantiate it with proof, please.
Sanjay Lazar, final words from you.
My final word is, let them conduct what they're doing. Only a judicial probe will ensure that there is no skullduggery anymore, because everybody is answerable to the law in this country. And that's what I strongly believe in it. And I've always been an advocate for the courts. So that's my thought. Also, I want to point out here just quickly, I hope this DGCA and the airlines that delayed the FDTL of the pilots for 2 years and asked for extensions will keep this in mind when it comes to pilot fatigue and cabin crew fatigue and rest period and mental state. It may be out of place for me to say it, but I know others won't. I want to say it. I just wanted to put that out. Yeah.
Okay. Captain Khalid?
Okay. Yeah,
final
sure.
word to you.
All right. So I like all pilots, I am member of at least 5 or 6 pilot group coming 20 years from the Air Force and 20 years in the civil flying. About say 4,000, 5,000 pilot groups. Combined, I can tell you today, the pilots would not believe anything that is now released to supplement what AIIB has said in the world of AI, of voice and video. The general perception is that it has been withheld because the things don't match. It will be released when things match. Unfortunately, that is the credibility. Forget the foreign media. Forget everyone. We are talking about people who are well-intentioned professionals within India. They would now not believe most of the things that will now come out, because it will only go on to supplement what has been already projected.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
That is unfortunate.
That is a sober reality, but ultimately the investigation must happen. I take your point, Captain Thomas. I know the media has a very important role to play, and I can speak on behalf of NDTV when I say we will not be shifting the spotlight from this. And that's the reason that we've brought the three of you on to discuss it on a day when the AIB has spoken only for the second time after the release of this report. It's ironic, but it is what it is, and we will continue to shine the light on this. Thank you, Captain Thomas, Sanjay Lazar, and Captain Khalid for being with me here on India Matters. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
On the 4th of June, 11 people died in a terrible stampede in Bengaluru. You remember what was happening. It was a victory celebration for the Royal Challengers Bengaluru. Well, the state was required to submit a report on what really happened, an action taken report, and what its findings were. And you remember that immediately after the stampede, after 11 people had died, after the tragedy hadn't even sunk in yet, the Siddaramaiah government had already proven to be champion blame shifters by suspending police officers and taking action against the event management team and the organizers rather than taking any responsibility on its own. And now in the report that was presented in court, Siddaramaiah, the Chief Minister of Karnataka, who without batting an eyelid blamed everyone but his own administration, has done pretty much the same, has even put in a video of Virat Kohli insinuating that it was the Royal Challengers Bengaluru themselves who were solely responsible, but not the government whatsoever. Zero responsibility, total blame shifting, absolutely no integrity to take some of the accountability. 11 Bengalurians dead, but no on the government. The Congress government there has take credit, but the blame champions policy. Why did Siddaramaiah and DK Shivakumar even attend the celebration? Not a word about that. Why this grand welcome for Virat Kohli and the RCB players when there was advance information that the possibility of a huge crowd? Has the Chief Minister royally escaped accountability is the question we're asking.
Cheers, chaos, deaths. A report and a blame game. On June 4th, 2025, Chinnaswamy Stadium fell silent after a fan frenzy turned into a stampede, claiming 11 lives, leaving several injured. But soon, the tragedy turned into a show of blame game. A state report submitted to the Karnataka High Court has accused the Royal Challengers Bengaluru, Karnataka State Cricket Association and the event management company DNA Networks for the stampede, stating mismanagement on the part of all of them. Meanwhile, in court, the Karnataka government has thrown the police under the bus. Police was merely informed about parade. No due permission was taken for victory parade. Measures by cops were taken without approvals. Cops worked as if they are RCB servants. Stadium event promoted on social media. Safety measures ignored by organizers. Questions raised, fingers pointed at. The Siddaramaiah government continues to dodge the question about who is responsible for this tragedy.
See, this is not a blame game here. If there is some lacuna or if there has been some mishandling of the situation, who was responsible, we have to take action. That's why the commission has been appointed. See what the report says. Based upon that, the cabinet will take a further decision.
But the BJP has questioned how the state government has pinned the blame on everyone but themselves.
If there was an intimation by RCB that they are going to hold a celebration function in Chinnaswamy Stadium, and if government did not want that to happen, they should have refused the permission. Instead of that, in order to take the credit of the victory, Deputy Chief Minister and Chief Minister themselves have gone ahead and requested people to come. At this juncture, putting the blame on a great cricket player like Virat Kohli or RCB is wrong.
While the Judicial Commission's report on the Bengaluru stampede has been placed before the cabinet, it remains to be seen what further measures will be taken by the government based on the findings and recommendations.
In other words, everybody is responsible for the deaths of 11 people in that stampede except for the Karnataka government under Chief Minister Siddaramaiah. Well, excuse number one, take a look at what's in this report, that the Royal Challengers Bengaluru failed to consult the police. Excuse number two, the RCB failed to follow SOPs for safety. Excuse number three in this report, the RCB informed the police but didn't seek permission or a permit. Excuse number four, the RCB's social media posts created chaos and confusion, and that's what really brought the crowds. No responsibility from the government. Excuse number five, impromptu gathering resulted in the stampede. Excuse number six, the RCB, DNA, the organizers, the Karnataka State Cricket Association were responsible for the gates at the Chinnaswamy Stadium. Excuse number seven, the RCB didn't open the gates on time for the crowd. Excuse number eight, despite the chaos, the state allowed the parade for RCB fans. Excuse number nine, cancelling the parade could have led to mob riots. And excuse number 10, the government provided medical aid to the victims, not the RCB. I leave it to you to decide who you think is responsible after you've seen this report. But here is even more. Is the Siddaramaiah government not responsible? Have they washed their hands completely off it? DK Shivakumar welcomed the RCB at the Bengaluru airport. Is the Siddaramaiah government not responsible? Chief Minister Siddaramaiah and the DK Shivakumar photo op is something that everybody remembers with Virat Kohli and others. All right, apologies for that. We'll correct that. Thanks very much for watching. That's a wrap on India Matters. Much more coming up on the other side.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
फिनेस्टा विंडोज, ब्यूटीफुल एंड ड्यूरेबल डिजाइन्स, इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
फाइन फाइनर फिनेस्टा। जनता के पास सवाल ही सवाल है, जवाब ढूंढने को वो देखती है न्यूज और देखती है यहाँ तो सवालों का मायाजाल है। ऊपर से ये अलग फाइट है, कोई पूरा लेफ्ट तो कोई पूरा राइट है, बीच में मुद्दे के साथ कौन है, जनता को जवाब चाहिए। इसीलिए सवालों की परेड नहीं, मैं लाऊंगा खबरों की कचहरी। मैं शुभांकर मिश्रा, मेरे साथ देखिए कचहरी रात 8 बजे सिर्फ एनडीटीवी इंडिया पर।
फिनेस्टा विंडोज, ब्यूटीफुल एंड ड्यूरेबल डिजाइन्स, इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
फाइन फाइनर फिनेस्टा।
आप एक गुंडे के हेल्प से बिहेव कर रहे हो
सुनो
सर।
मेरी
आप तो एक
आपने मेरा
गायकवाड इज रनिंग अवे फ्रॉम NDTV's questions.
That issue is not before the High Command. It was not discussed so far.
Kolhapuri couples costing $1,300.
The noise we made finally got heard, and it's so nice that somebody took action on it.
Pictures and videos of women that were taken in the Bengaluru metro, now on Church Street and other prominent places in Bengaluru. We managed to arrest both of them.
We are bringing you now, for the very first time, is that the Air India preliminary crash report is out.
This 15-page report into 10 key findings of what really is being said in this probe report.
What's reporting without impact? NDTV 24/7.
फिनेस्टा विंडोज, ब्यूटीफुल एंड ड्यूरेबल डिजाइन्स, इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
फाइन फाइनर फिनेस्टा।
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of maximum city is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring
in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
India's IT capital is always bustling, a city full of startups, stories and surprises. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
कहना इस दीवार पे इतने इश्तहार चिपके हैं कि कोई दरार नजर नहीं आती। मैं उन लोगों में से जो कहता हूँ सारे इश्तहार फाड़ के फेंको, पहले दरार को एड्रेस करो।
ये दरार इसलिए क्योंकि कुछ लेफ्ट कुछ राइट, पर हम उन मुद्दों में आपके साथ जिनसे आपकी फाइट है। डिजिटल से देश समझा, अब टीवी पर समाधान लाना है। आइए मेरे साथ खबरों की कचहरी में सिर्फ NDTV पर।
But I'd like to start this off by asking you, Vishnu, what you think about the whole question of India not.
Hello everyone, you're watching The Last Word here on NDTV and I'm Maria Shakir. Tonight, Bihar's law and order crisis is under the spotlight. A patient has been shot dead inside a Patna hospital. We'll be joined by Bihar's ADGP later in the show. At 1:30, we ask, are women safe anywhere in India? A 10-year-old girl abducted and assaulted while walking home. This just days after a student set herself on fire following harassment by her professor, and a young tennis player was shot dead by her own father inside her home. Our top story. Law and order in Bihar, has it collapsed completely? That's the big question I ask on the show tonight. In the heart of Patna, inside a hospital, a man is shot dead in broad daylight. Yes, you heard that right. In a place meant to save lives, a cold-blooded killing takes place. If hospitals aren't safe, what is? This is not an isolated case. Bihar has seen a spike in violent crimes, contract killings, street crimes. The list keeps growing. Businessmen, lawyers, even doctors, no one is safe. What does this tell us? Are gangsters ruling the roost again? Is Bihar slipping back into the lawless days of the past? And where is the state machinery? Are the police just silent spectators? Tonight, we put these questions on the table. Who is accountable for this brazen breakdown of law and order? What message does a broad day hospital shootout send to the people of Bihar? Has the fear of the law completely vanished? Because one thing is clear, when bullets fly inside hospitals, governance is on life support. First up the story, then I bring in the guests.
5 men flaunting guns, walking with killer swag in a hospital corridor. They enter a room, fire shots, and exit the hospital in the same style. In and out in just 50 seconds. This is not a scene from a gangster flick. But this is Bihar's horrifying reality. A brazen, shocking shootout in an upscale hospital in Patna. The CCTV cameras at the hospital captured the 5 shooters pulling out their guns, opening the cabin's door and then escaping. Their target, Chandan Mishra, dead. Chandan Mishra, a hardened criminal with dozens of murder cases against him, was out on parole on medical grounds.
पारस अस्पताल एक बड़ा ही प्रसिद्ध अस्पताल है, एक अच्छा अस्पताल माना जाता है। वहाँ पर सुरक्षा के लिए एक प्रभारी DYS एक रिटायर्ड कर्मी को भी अस्पताल प्रबंधन रखती है। तो ये जांच का विषय है कि कैसे अपराधी बेरोक टोक जहाँ ये भर्ती थे वहाँ तक, इसकी भी गहराई से जांच की जाएगी। और जो सिर्फ फुटेज आया है उसमें अपराधी दिख रहे हैं, उनकी पहचान कर ली गई है, शीघ्र ही उनकी गिरफ्तारी की जाएगी।
The hospital shooting has thrown a spotlight on the state's law and order just ahead of the elections. There have been 23 murders in just 2 weeks in the state. Among those killed are businessman Gopal Khemka, BJP leader Surendra Kewat and lawyer Jitendra Mahato.
एडीजी का बयान आता है कि मानसून में अपराध जो है बढ़ता है, यानी इतना बचकाना बयान है ये कि पलड़ा झाड़ रहे हैं, यानी कि इनसे अपराध कंट्रोल नहीं होता। और ये सीजन बता रहे हैं कि ये सीजन में जो है अपराध होता है। तो अब आप समझ जाइए कि पुलिस ने भी हाथ जो है खड़ा कर दिया कि हम जो है अपराधियों से नहीं निपट पाएंगे।
But for the state's top cop, it's that time of the year, the season of crime.
ऐतिहासिक रूप से यदि आप कंपेयर करेंगे अपराध की संख्या को, हत्या की संख्या को, लूट डकैती की संख्या को, तो मई, जून और जुलाई ये 3 महीने काफ़ी वृद्धि रहती है अन्य माह की अपेक्षा। इसका कारण ये होता है कि एग्रीकल्चरल लीन सीजन रहता है, लोगों के पास समय ज़्यादा रहता है, डिस्प्यूट्स पे जो भी डिस्प्यूट्स रहता है उसके बारे में बात बहस वगैरह ज़्यादा चलती है, जिसके कारण हत्याएं हुई।
State police officials point the data to negate the rising crime narrative. They say that as per the statistics, crime has actually gone down in Bihar as compared to last year. The recent surge in murders has put the ruling JDU-BJP government on the back foot and in the opposition's line of fire in election season in Bihar.
And joining us now is Kundan Krishnan, who is ADGP of Bihar. Mr. Krishnan, you're joining us here on NDTV. So my question is, over the past 10 days, a string of killings. A businessman, a lawyer, a 60-year-old woman, a teacher, in all in 14 days, at least 24 murders. That's the state of law and order in Bihar. If this is not lawlessness, then what is?
Ma'am, like murders, we try to prevent. We are preventing a lot of murders every day, a lot of heinous crimes. Some criminals are below the radar. We are always trying to nab them. The businessman who was killed, I think on the 3rd, within 5 days, we had caught the shooter as well as the conspirator who got him killed. The conspirator was a person known to the businessman, Mr. Gopal Khemka. Ashok Shah was his name. Financial disputes was the reason. You mentioned a lawyer being killed. So, he was shot dead. The people responsible for his killing, including his own daughter, have been arrested. The shooters have also been arrested. Patna has seen a spate of murders, approximately 12 in the last month. But I think 9 arrests have been made. And even today, the incident, we have no excuses for the incident. But they have challenged us and we are up to the challenge. The person killed, as you have mentioned, Chandan Mishra, was a hardened criminal. He was out on parole for the supposed purpose of treatment of his father. And today was his last day. 18th, he had to go back to the jail. He had a running enmity, according to the investigation and our brief on this case, with his former partner, who is presently in Purlia jail, Mr. Sheru Singh. They had become rivals in crime as well in sharing of the booty. Sheru Singh is another notorious criminal. He is presently in Purlia jail. The 5 shooters who are shown on your screen, most of them have been identified. It's a matter of time. They'll be arrested and the law will take its own course.
Okay. Kundanji, these are 5 shooters who enter a private hospital in Patna. We are looking at the heart of Patna in many ways. This is a criminal who is on parole, which means he also has security. And yet, these 5 criminals with pistols and firearms enter a private hospital, carry out a broad daylight murder and run away. My question is, you have given all the examples of how the cops, your administration has acted post the crime. What are you doing to prevent these crimes?
For example, even in Patna today, a jewelry shop attempted dacoity has been prevented and people have been caught. In this crime, it took place between 7 and 7:30 in the morning. These people were not prevented by the private security personnel at the hospital gate. And they were brazen enough to enter it. They did not use the main road. They used some alleyways behind the hospital to reach the spot. We have examined all the CCTV footages and as mentioned, we have identified them. It's a matter of time. They'll be arrested. Similarly, in the unsolved cases also, every case is given due importance. And in Patna, I know the Patna District Police, they're working hard. They are up to the task and these people will be booked and tried. Already, in the first 6 months, we have had convictions of more than 600 people, all life imprisonment. So the prosecution process is also underway. We are monitoring the prosecution.
Has the fear of the law completely vanished? Because if bullets are flying inside hospitals, one thing is clear, that governance is on life support in Bihar.
This incident doesn't reflect the whole scenario. It is a brazen attempt. It is a challenge to us and will rise up to the occasion.
Who is accountable for this brazen breakdown of law and order, sir?
This incident, brazen, these shooters are responsible for it. And they will be taken to task. The law will take its own course.
What message do you think a broad day hospital shootout is sending to the people of Bihar?
It is discomforting, definitely. It's a fallout of a gang war, as mentioned. The person was already undergoing life imprisonment in a conviction in a murder case of 2011. And his rival is also in the jail. These shooters are not gang members, they have been hired. We are into the act of investigation to find out their linkages. And I think within 3-4 days, the whole picture, the whole conspiracy will be clear.
So I want to play one sound bite, and after that I'll ask a question, because people are now curious about some seasonal connection which is being given to the rise of crimes in Bihar. Let's play that sound bite and I'm coming back to you, sir, in 30 seconds.
कई हत्याएं हुई हैं, होती पूरे बिहार में, और इस मई जून में ज़्यादा मर्डर होते आई है वर्षों से। अप्रैल मई जून, जब तक बरसात नहीं होती है ये सिलसिला जारी रहता है, क्योंकि ज़्यादातर किसान को कोई काम नहीं रहता है। एक बरसात होने के बाद लोग, कृषक समाज के लोग व्यस्त हो जाते हैं और घटनाएं घटती है। परंतु आप लोग के द्वारा, प्रेस के द्वारा हत्या पर हत्या, कुछ इस वर्ष चुनाव भी है, तो राजनीतिक दलों के द्वारा भी इस पर ज़्यादा नज़रिया दिया गया है। तो उसको लेके भी हम लोग चिंतित थे कि हाँ, नवयुवक ज़्यादा पैसा के लिए सुपारी किलिंग शुरू कर दिए हैं। तो एक नया सेल इसी माह हम लोग गठन किए हैं।
कुंदन जी, people are curious, what is this logic to crime and monsoon that you have drawn, sir?
The government, the historical records of crime figures, I'm not defending any crime or rise in crime, but generally what has been seen for the last several decades is May, June and July, there is a spurt in incidents of murders. What I have tried to relate to is Bihar is largely an agricultural economy, and electricity has been provided to the farmers. The government is trying to make the third crop come into play, and it is coming into play, but still this historical trend, like from Holi to the monsoon, arrival of the monsoon, it's a lean season employment-wise in the rural scenario, and I have equated this with the murders taking place in the rural areas. This period we have seen like old enmities, rivalries, which are generally the cause of most of the murders. Nearly 70% of the murders are due to these causes that the NCRB data will also show. So in this period, every year we have seen there is a rising trend, and as soon as the monsoons arrive, people get busy in the agricultural activities.
Are you saying that most of these people who are committing these crimes are farmers?
No, ma'am. As I have said, the cause of most of the murder taking place, if the data is studied, we have made an analysis of such data. What are the reasons for the murders taking place? Generally, on investigation, it has been found that 37% is due to personal dispute or old dispute. Illicit relations, love affairs, responsible 14.22%. Land disputes, another 10.24%. Murder in family-related dispute, murder in financial dispute, another 12%. So 60-70% of the murders that take place is due to these issues of enmity. Now, professional killing or killing for gain as such, professionally, that's very limited. What you have seen right now is a situation, the hospital incident is an anomaly, general. Even where shooters are involved, it is due to financial disputes. For example, Mr. Gopal Khanka, the investigation has thrown up the fact that it was a family dispute. The lawyer who was killed, it was his daughter and his resistance to his daughter's marriage, his opposition to it, she had already married in the court, that led to his murder. They hired professional killers in both the incidents. Such cases are rare. Generally,
but
70-80%.
When you say that there is a rise because of the monsoon season, and you have given 3 months, you have spoken about it, why is it that that's only Bihar specific? Because monsoon is across the country.
Monsoon is in Bihar, traditionally this has been the scenario. Things quieten down during the monsoon period.
Then shouldn't you be more careful, sir? Shouldn't you ensure that the citizens are safer in this season?
We try our best, ma'am. Every case is given due importance. And as a whole, if you see the trend in murders in Bihar, the annual figures, it has gone down. For example, between 1990 and 2005, total 4,612 murders took place. On an average, between 1990 and 2005. From 2006 to 2022, the average, this is according to the National Crime Record Bureau data. We don't have it for the 23, so I'm not giving 23 and 24. From 2006 to 2022, this figure, the average murders committed was 3,121, a drop in nearly 1,500 per year. Similarly, the average figures in dacoities and robberies year by year has been coming down.
Okay, Kundanji, I have just 2 minutes because you'll have to move to our Hindi channel as well. My question is, and what is becoming clear here is that the law and order in Bihar is crumbling.
I disagree with you.
And
the
why?
statistics don't prove it. The growth in the economy doesn't prove it, ma'am. The people are free, they're roaming around. They don't fear going out in the night. All the restaurants are full. The hotel industry is thriving. The tourism numbers are rising. There is no complaints of extortion in all our infrastructure projects which are taking place. So many roads, bridges, the metro, no cases of extortion or organized crime. Organized crime has gone down.
All right. Kundan Krishnan, really appreciate your time here on NDTV. Thank you for joining us. Let's bring in other guests now. Pawan Verma is national spokesperson of Jan Suraj. Satya Prakash Mishra, JDU leader, is joining me here in the studio. Dr. Ajay Alok is national spokesperson of the BJP. Professor Naval Kishore is national spokesperson of the RJD. Yashwardhan Azad is former IPS officer, also someone who comes from Bihar. Professor Naval Kishore, you heard all the reasons. Bihar is rising and you are witnessing some crumbling law and order, which according to ADGP doesn't exist. So what are you seeing that he is not?
Maria, this is quite dangerous trends. When ADG law and order is speaking the language of political party, everything that is being told by BJP or JDU is here repeated by him. He is not saying that, he is saying that the cause of crime is this. But what he has made preparation to control that, he has never said anything. He never spelled any out. He is taking that organized crime is not there. But how the crime is being organized? In a day, broad day, the criminal go and enters a hospital, kills a person, and he is saying that there is no organized crime. How is it happening? So I don't think that he is behaving or is talking like an IPS officer. He is talking like one who is responsible to a political party. He is not talking like this. The problem he has gone down, and the Home Minister, who is for the past 2 decades, he must come out and say something. Everyone is saying something else, but the person who is held responsible for all kind of decline in law and order is silent. Why is silent, and who is controlling him?
What happened to this narrative of Sushasan Babu, Satya Prakash Mishra ji? Sushasan Babu is completely missing in action. It's the cops and bureaucrats who seem to be governing Bihar, or you know, what should I say? This is not governance. If anything, there's complete collapse of governance as is evident.
No. It is, it is not justice to administration of Bihar that you are labeling it is a collapse of governance. When Nitish Kumar ji first time came in power in November 2005, the Bihar was inside a jungle raj. Sitting minister were killed inside PMCH hospital. The ex-JNU president was killed when he was making a speech in Siwan. And a sitting member of parliament was killed. So that was a pathetic condition, and huge amount of around 59 caste-based, killing took place. The last one was the
that is my
now I'm coming
repeated
to a
problem
point.
with the arguments which are being made by the current government. No, sir. You'll have to listen to my question, sir.
You go ahead.
You always tell us about what happened before 2005. In the last 20 years, what you have done, you will never explain. You will not give us the report card of your government. Particularly in the last 2 months. If there is collapse of governance, you have to explain to me that. Don't tell me 20 saal pehle kya hua tha.
No, I'm not. I will definitely bring what happened 20 years ago, but I will definitely give you what happened in the last 20 years. No caste-based killing happened in Bihar. That is true. Naxalism problems were reduced to zero. And in last 20 years, the people started coming out open in the night to enjoy their nightlife in Bihar, in Patna. Come on. Naval, let me finish, then you start making allegation, whatever you will have
the
to.
nightlife, Pavan Verma, you are not able to see this. Sir, you have made your point and I find it extremely hilarious how you are trying to justify.
I'm not justifying, Maria. You are not giving me chance.
No, 1 moment. 20 years, you are not explaining to me what you have done. In the last 2 weeks, there has been a sudden rise in crime, and you will not explain as to how the administration, what it should have done to protect its citizens. You give all the excuses and put it on what happened before 2005.
I am not justifying anything.
Pavan Verma, come in.
Okay.
Pavan
Verma. Thank you, Maria. Maria, the problem is that it's a sterile catch-22. Let's be honest about it. If you point to the lack of governance or the deterioration of law and order now, the defenders of the current regime point to the jungle raj of the RJD. And if you point to the jungle raj, manifest jungle raj of the RJD points to what is happening today. The point is, the house of crime in Bihar is a house of mirrors. Whoever points a finger finds an image of himself or herself on the other side. किसको मारे या पत्थर मारे, कौन पराया है, शीश महल में एक एक चेहरा अपना लगता है. The truth is, and I want to just, because time is short, I want to tell you that the current situation is, in spite of the fact that Nitish Kumar put the house of order right in Bihar after 2005. He was called Succession Babu. In the years after that, I was associated with him and I saw his own competence. But the truth equally is that for the last several years, his health has been deteriorating. I make no personal comment on him. It is a visible, known fact in Bihar that if the Mukhia is not in control, where is the governance, where is the administrative machinery, where is the police effectiveness in controlling crime? Now, the ADG's interview said that crime has improved. Yes, after 2005, there was an improvement in crime. But the State Crime Research Bureau has released figures of the first 6 months of crime in Bihar, in which there have been as many as 1,376 murders. If you go to the NCRB state data, between 2021 and 2022, and we don't have the 23 figures, there was in Bihar an increase in crime by 13.3%. Lastly, the sheer brazenness with which the crimes are being committed shows somewhere a complete collapse of governance.
No, this is wrong.
The BJP
this is misinterpretation of the fact. No, Pavan Verma ji, you were highly regarded, you were associated with us, you were sent to the Rajya Sabha. I never jumped into any debate. No, this is completely out of your imagination. I don't expect your interpretation that this is the collapse of governance. Bihar is being run on the principles of communal harmony, even with all kind of political outcomes. I really object. No,
okay, let me finish.
Either you control the debate.
I will finish, but this is wrong.
I will complete, he can make a rebuttal.
I have a very high regard, sir.
He can make a rebuttal.
1 moment,
I'll take 20 seconds more.
Yes.
I will take 20 seconds more. Please allow me, then you rebut me. I am saying the brazenness with which crimes are taking place and the frequency with which they are taking place is an indication of the breakdown of governance. And nothing could be a bigger reinforcement of this assessment than what Chirag Paswan said. He's an ally of the NDA. Chirag Paswan said, Bihar mein अपराधियों का मनोबल आसमान छू रहा है. Their brazen confidence of criminals is touching the sky. He's an ally of the NDA. He's a minister in
you
Delhi.
have a similar opinion. Let's not forget that, the Home Minister is Nitish Kumar. Why should you be taking the blame of what is visibly deteriorating law and order?
Well, first of all, in spite of listening from the ADG there, in spite of giving him all the relevant data from 2006 to 2022, in spite of Patna police breaking down each and every case within 24 hours, may it be Gopal Khemka case, may it be the lawyer case, may it be things, then also a narrative is being tried to set up that Bihar में सब कुछ crumble कर रहा है. अगर crumble कर रहा है, then the cases should not have been solved, like what it used to happen. When anyone says, when Satyaprakash ji says that why 2005, before 2005 needs to be remembered, because the state machinery right now for the last 20 years is not associated with criminals. What it used to be before 2005. Never have we had a situation in Bihar when a prime minister addressing a rally and he says, "Mere kisle ko lota do." We had that kind of a situation. So two things cannot be compared. What we are talking here is, yes,
what will you tell Chirag?
I'll tell you, I'll give you another data.
No, why is Chirag saying what he is saying? He's your alliance partner.
His opinion. Chirag Paswan is entitled for his opinion. Anyone will say. I am also saying the crime spurt has increased. No.
But you are not
I am saying crime spurt has been increased. And it is not for the first time. 2005, 2010, 2015, 2020. Please take out all the data. 6 months before the Vidhan Sabha election, there is always increase in the crime spurt except for 2015 when JDU and RJD were contesting together. And every criminal who gets arrested has a link with RJD somehow or the other. Now, will you call this as a coincidence? It's a deliberate attempt.
Okay.
And then they will start shouting, crime khatam, Nitish Kumar ka governance khatam, control khatam. Baba, it's a perception. People are able to move, people are moving out in the night, people are traveling in the night because of the perception. There is no fear.
Nitish fought with Lalu Yadav. How will you explain that? महागठबंधन ने चुनाव जीता था.
That's what I'm telling you. There was no spurt in the increase in the crime at that point of time.
There was no crime then.
अरे हम पवन जी उस वक्त नीतीश जी के साथ थे. एक मिनट, हम पवन जी नीतीश जी के साथ ही थे उस वक्त 2015 में. और हम जानते हैं उस समय क्राइम नहीं बढ़ा था 6 महीने में. लेकिन आप 20 निकाल लीजिए, आप 5 निकाल लीजिए, 10 निकाल लीजिए, हर विधानसभा के पहले क्राइम बढ़ता है. And this is not seasonal. This is only related to Vidhansabha.
Okay, so
because if you call seasonal, then there is 1 month. I'll tell you, there is 1 month season where there is no crime in Bihar. When the Navratra comes and Chhath happens, no crime.
Okay.
This is absolutely established fact. So it's not a seasonal crime. Right now what is happening is the professional shooters which have been identified and police will take care of them.
Okay.
Now the question comes, why Nitish Kumar silent? Do you expect every chief minister to come out and give a statement on a murder? Why don't you ask Telangana CM? Yesterday we had 3 murders of all political murders. 2 from CPIM, 1 from BJP, 2 from Congress itself. Why the CM didn't come up? Which state CM comes up to speak on behalf of a murder?
Coming from various walks of life, from one a lawyer, another one a businessman, a shopkeeper, a woman, a teacher, a BJP leader, all of them have been shot dead in the last 2 weeks. And the Chief Minister has not spoken.
Maria,
we are not supposed to demand an explanation or an answer from the Chief Minister, Dr. Ajay Alo?
No. The explanation is very clear.
Yes.
Explanation is very clear.
He don't need to speak.
The police has already explained. Every murder case has been cracked.
Okay.
Every murder case has been cracked. It is due to the familial dispute or internal dispute between 2 persons.
Okay.
Now you can't expect that the Patna police or Bihar police is going to be behind every 13 crore people. It's not possible. This is not an organized crime. This is not an organized crime.
Bureaucrats. Then why should the Chief Minister answer? That's a fair point.
It's not that. The Bihar administration is of course run by the bureaucrats and overlooked by the politicians.
Yashwardhan Azad.
Well, let me start by saying that when you are talking about organized crimes, he is referring to a particular type of crime, Professor Naval Kishore. That is, organized crime means contract killing, it means, mining mafia, it means your sand mafia, और बिहार में तो कितने तरह के माफिया हैं और हमको मालूम ही है और जो सदा से अभी तक चल रहे हैं. Now the issue here is, there's no doubt that Patna police, and by the way, Kundan Krishnan is one of the finest officers, is a very tough guy, and it's unfortunate that he's facing a spate of crimes. Now, when you have ordinary crimes, like the global trends also say, minor crimes like theft, burglary, etc., it's okay. But if you have a spate of contract killing, which have been organized from jails, which have been organized on the basis of the mafia hits, then it's something to sit up to. There is another reason which Dr. Alok has rightly said that before Vidhan Sabha elections, there is always a kind of a grouping of various here, whether it is attributed to politics or whether it's to various other reasons. But there is an increase in spate of crimes. But this trend is definitely worrying. There's no doubt about it. Though the Patna police has been able to crack it, and they have cracked it very well. The other important thing which I must say here is that there are certain institutional things which keep throwing up this kind of crimes. The land disputes in Bihar are amazing. And they are lying in the, whether it's the revenue code, whether it's, so many of these cases which are being neglected. And because of this, this is a kind of a festering wound which takes place. And many of the crimes are taking place because of this. Many crimes cannot be stopped, which are of personal nature, like passion, etc., etc. But in this particular case, where it is being organized from jails, whether it is a contract killing, it's a serious matter to look into. And I agree that ADG is a very senior officer to speak on behalf of the government on this crime. And, we should not compare things in Bihar because there are a lot of institutional problems. And there's one thing more, Maria, which I want to say in the end. The institutionally, Bihar is tired. Yes. Whether it's because of population, whether it's because of over politics, whether it's because of over caste issues, every day the police is 90% busy in non-police work. And it's a serious issue and the challenge for the police in any regime, for example, because the crimes are originating from various sources. Those sources have not been corrected, and that is a very, very serious issue.
Okay, but the point that you have made, particularly of the rise in crimes ahead of polls, which the BJP spokesperson was also highlighting, if there is a pattern of this nature, then the cops should actually address it. Ajay Alok, that should be the primary responsibility to ensure that in the run-up to the elections, which will happen in the month of November, or towards the end of October, that people have that faith that they should go and cast their vote. Why generate this kind of fear?
I'm assuring you one thing, Maria. Like I said, 2005, 10, 20. Before 15th August, everything will be taken care of. There will be, what happens normally? Police are normally arresting people. Police are doing some encounters. It normally goes unnoticed. But by 10th or 15th, police will try and control all these notorious elements, and they will be behind bars or they will be taken to some other post, whatever the police thinks it suits to be. And that automatically sends the message all across the criminal community and all the political person who are supporting those criminals. That sends the message. Now the message delivering system has just started. So I guess another week or so, you will see the results.
All right, we have really come to the end of this discussion. Yashwardhan Azad, Professor Naval Kishore, Pavan Verma, Satyaprakash Mishra joining us, and Dr. Ajay Alok. Thank you for joining us and sharing your views. A quick break, and then we return.
Well, in the latest episode of Control All Defense, we are talking about a platform that all of you want to hear about, that's Tejas. The big question, we do know it's a great platform, but is it of use for the Indian Air Force going into the future? How relevant will it remain?
Fenesta Windows, beautiful and durable designs. इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
Find Finer Fenesta.
आप एक गुंडे के हेल्थ से बिहेव कर रहे हो सर। मेरी आप तो एक गायकवाड is running away from NDTV's questions.
That issue is not before the High Command. It was not discussed so far.
Kolhapuri couples costing $1,300.
The noise we made finally got heard, and it's so nice that somebody took action on it.
pictures and videos of women that were taken in the Bengaluru metro. Now on Church Street and other prominent places in Bengaluru, we managed to arrest both of them.
We are bringing you now, for the very first time, is that the Air India preliminary crash report is out.
This 15-page report into 10 key findings of what really is being said in this probe report.
What's reporting without impact? NDTV 24/7.
जनता के पास सवाल ही सवाल है, जवाब ढूंढने को वो देखती है न्यूज़ और देखती है यहाँ तो सवालों का मायाजाल है, ऊपर से ये अलग।
A 10-year-old girl walking home from school in Tamil Nadu was abducted and sexually assaulted by an unidentified man. Police have initiated a search for the suspect using CCTV camera footage of the area. Police sources say that the survivor, who is a class 4 student, later raised an alarm, forcing the man to flee the scene. Based on the girl's statement, a case is registered under the POCSO Act. But it doesn't end here. From Tamil Nadu, let's move to Kolkata, the so-called cultural capital, where a campus rape has shaken the very foundation of a premier university. A place meant for learning has become a hunting ground for predators. Where is the accountability? Who is protecting our young women on campuses? And then there is Balasore in Odisha, where a woman set herself on fire after repeated sexual harassment. She lost hope, she lost faith, and then she lost her life. Is this the price women have to pay to be heard? Then there was Radhika Yadav, the tennis player who was shot dead by her own father inside her own home in Haryana. Why? Because her father could not take the taunts over financial independence and lifestyle. Then reality is no different in the online world. Creeps film women in public places and post videos on online platforms after salaciously editing them. Different states, different cases, one chilling reality: India is failing its women and girls. Our laws are strong on paper, but on the ground, are they just words? Tonight we ask on the show, how many more daughters must pay with their lives before India wakes up? Are we doing enough to make our schools, campuses, workplaces safe for women? And most importantly, where is the fear of law? Or is it that predators know they will walk free? Joining me on the show tonight, Harish Mohammad Ibrahim is a DMK supporter who is also a political analyst. We have Uma Anandan, BJP councillor. Nirmal Kaur is a former IPS officer. Lalita Kumar Mangalam is a former chairperson of NCW. Before I bring in the politicians, Lalita Kumar Mangalam, it seems almost like an epidemic now.
Maria, it doesn't seem, it is an epidemic. Last night I was on a show where we talked about Balasore, last week about Kolkata. A couple of weeks, less than a month ago, that poor girl who had to commit suicide because of dowry, which again was from Tamil Nadu. In this, we are talking about two states, what you call the cultural capital, and Tamil Nadu, which claims to be one of the most developed states in this country. What price culture, what price development when our girls are not safe anywhere? At home, in schools, in colleges, on the roads, in public spaces, private spaces, in their offices, we are safe nowhere. And it just seems to be going from bad to worse. All of this we make a noise about. I'm not saying the police don't try, perhaps they do. But there are so many petty crimes that are committed, our rapists are given bail, and all sorts of injustice which is done to the girls. It's almost as if our human rights are not immutable. I mean, everybody has rights. But what about the girls who are paying with their lives in more ways than one? When there is violence that is perpetrated against them, all forms of violence. Like I said, the Balasore case was harassment. The Coimbatore case was dowry. This is rape. In Kolkata, it was not just rape, they beat her up and did all sorts of things. Remember what happened in Kolkata last year. So it just, each story seems worse and worse than the other.
Yes.
Nothing seems to be, the severity, the calamity, if I can use that word, doesn't seem to be in any way dying down. We just sort of limp from one such incident, heinous, frightening, terrifying, to another.
Yes.
And here, everybody is talking about women's empowerment. Imagine how many people will want to now, will start using this as an excuse not to educate their girls. From a little girl of 10 years to a girl of about 21. There doesn't see, and the last year, that medical student was about 27, 28. Where is it going to stop? And how is it going to stop?
Yes.
Whom do we blame? And there don't seem to be any answers. And this is what is the most frightening thing.
Nirmal Kaur, my question then would be that, are we doing enough to make our schools, campuses, workplaces safe for women? Here is the girl, a minor of 10 years. She was on her way and then she stopped, molested, stalked. This is the truth.
So we are, our public spaces, our campuses, our institutes, none of the places where women go, we want them to equally participate in social, political, economic life. And that is going to drive our country's growth, that they are going to be our engine of growth. But we are not making the environment safe for them. Number of laws have been passed, so many new laws come in every time, a lot of emphasis is being given, gender budgeting has been done to, for budget being set aside for crime against women, to tackle them. A lot has been done, but I think the spirit is perhaps not taken off, because we see it mostly as an administrative or a police endeavor. We do not see it as a society endeavor. If we do not respect our women in our own house, if a father kills his daughter because she met a modicum of success, he can't tolerate her success. Suppose it had been a son, the father would have been very proud. But here Radhika's father felt embarrassed and ashamed about her. Whereas, any normal parent should be proud of a child's achievements. But that is not so in our patriarchal society. We say we've done a lot, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, lots of schemes, lots of these Anganwadi, special schemes for women to encourage them. Number of schemes are there must be millions of them. I can recall 10, 20 right away, but no time to name them here. But all these schemes are worth a naught because the society is not changing. The societal values. See Radhika's father being taunted. Your girl is doing so well, you're living off her money. But she's doing so well, she has a social media presence. She must be a woman, she must be a girl of bad character. That automatically follows. If a girl is successful, the first aspersions are cast on her character. She was an international player, she played so well, she's running a successful academy, she is mentoring other children because she had an injury and she couldn't play anymore. But she's taken the best way out, the next one. And for this, the parents are, the father is not proud, the society is not proud, their community is not proud. Instead, they are haranguing the father, they are embarrassing him, they are shaming him. You see, your daughter's earning and, this is that, and she's perhaps seeing boys and mentoring boys.
Yes.
How is that? Somehow a family's honor is being tied up to a girl.
Yes.
Why should she be the sole bearer of the...
Absolutely. It's heartbreaking that, and I agree with Lalita ji, that every day one or the other incident of crime against women is shocking us. And what we hear from politicians, Harish, is the sad part, that it's about blame game. What is becoming clear in the case of Tamil Nadu is that the society has failed her. Her movement from her home to her school should have been safe. But that did not happen. How is the state government not taking responsibility for what is an evident failure of safety? This was her right. She should have been protected.
Of course, Maria, with profound sorrow to the topic which we are discussing, the state government has taken all kind of responsibility during the previous, even during the previous incidents where these kind of heinous crimes happen against women. And with utmost sincerity, with utmost putting forward all the judiciary in place and all the administrative evidence and the police evidence in place, we have made sure during this tenure, for that matter, whatever the heinous crimes which happen against women for that, matter, it has been taken down with utmost sincerity. And even during the Anna University issue, the entire culprit has been mapped with proper scientific evidence and which has been produced before the court under the POCSO Act, and it has been delivered, justice has been delivered within 5 months during their fast track. So the state of Tamil Nadu doesn't want to defend what kind of heinous crimes which happens against women, where the state government has put forward all the effective measures to bring women empowerment in all the places. That is the reason where we have almost 48 to 50% of the women participations across the Indian average is almost 20% of women participation in the workforce. We have almost 48 to 50% of the women empowerment happening in the state, and right from basic education till to their graduation or even getting into the work area, we have done whatever the best. Not only doing, I'm participating and defending the DMK government, even the ADMK government, the then successor governments have done whatever the best possible way to make sure the women in the state are feeling safe and secure.
And then a 10-year-old is stalked and raped. So for all
Maria,
the crime, for all the claims that you are making on the show tonight, she was walking home from school. She is abducted and sexually assaulted by an unidentified man. And then you make all the claims of how the state is safe and everything is being done. Here is a sexual assault survivor who is, of course, telling her story in the sense, the trauma that she has gone through. And then the state government, the best it can do is talk about the achievements in the space of women's safety. I mean, it's shameful that instead of reaching out to the family and ensuring that this entire case is fast tracked because the case is already registered under the POCSO Act, you're doing everything. But instead of, the priority should be about fast tracking this case, which is not happening here. Uma, come in now.
Oh, can I respond to that?
No,
because you have entirely made sure to debunk.
Uma.
See, first I would like to say, I would like to say the situation in every day.
Uma Anandan, there is a problem with your line. There is a problem with your line. Yes, quick response from you, Harish, and then I bring in others.
Yeah, because as I stated earlier, whatever the heinous crimes which happen,
Tamil Nadu has to.
Go ahead, Harish.
No, let ma'am is being interrupting. Let her speak.
Go ahead. There's a problem with her network.
Okay, fine. So as I stated earlier, the government is taking all kind of effective measures, even for this kind of incidents, wherever it happens across the nook and corner of Tamil Nadu. That is the reason I have stated that the entire Anna University issue has been mapped. Within 5 months of the culprit has been given, justice has been served. The same kind of things will be happen for this as well. The entire search investigation team has been pressed across the state, and it is Andhra border, so there will be a time delay in the special investigation team. For sure, the culprits will be nabbed.
Okay, Lalita Kumar Mangalam, you get the last word on the last word tonight. Go ahead.
It's not about justice being served after somebody has been raped or killed or committed suicide, etc. It's about ensuring that at the very least, that such crimes decrease. We are not seeing a decrease. The thing in Coimbatore was from a rich, educated background. What difference did it make? They harassed the girl to death. Here it's a little girl of 10 years old. The mentality, we keep saying we're empowering girls, but are we teaching our men to respect women? Everything is only aimed at the girls. Where are we teaching our men that women are not just sexual toys or playthings or to bring dowry or to cook your food and bathe your children and bear your children and that women also have to be respected? Tamil Nadu's culture, and I'm from Tamil Nadu, I'm a Tamilian. Tamil Nadu's culture has always revered women. We had a Jayalalitha, but I'm sure Jayalalitha, if she's alive, would tell you what she too went through in her personal life. But that's not the point here. The point is that despite our development, we are not able to keep our girls safe. That is shameful. As a society, And you can't go on blaming only the politicians or the police, etc. As a society, we need to take stock and start educating our boys, in a sense, empowering our boys to be better men, to be better brothers, husbands, cousins, protectors, whatever you want to call it. But to teach them that to respect women is probably the best way to be a man.
All right, Lalita Kumar Mangalam, Nirmal Kaur, Umanandan and Harish, thank you so much for joining us. Our last story of the show tonight, a celebration turned deadly. The June 4th Stampede at Bengaluru's Chinnaswamy Stadium left 11 dead and several injured. As the blame game intensified, a state report has flagged serious lapses by the police, event organizers and the RCB franchise. Here's that report. I'm leaving you with this. Thanks so much for watching.
Cheers, chaos, deaths. A report and a blame game. On June 4th, 2025, Chinnaswamy Stadium fell silent after a fan frenzy turned into a stampede, claiming 11 lives, leaving several injured. But soon, the tragedy turned into a show of blame game. A state report submitted to the Karnataka High Court has accused the Royal Challengers Bengaluru, Karnataka State Cricket Association and the event management company DNA Networks for the stampede, stating mismanagement on the part of all of them. Meanwhile, in court, the Karnataka government has thrown the police under the bus. Police was merely informed about parade. No due permission was taken for Victory Parade. Measures by cops were taken without approvals. Cops worked as if they are RCB servants. Stadium event promoted on social media. Safety measures ignored by organizers. Questions raised, fingers pointed at. The Siddaramaiah government continues to dodge the question about who is responsible for this tragedy.
See, this is not a blame game here. If there is some lacuna or if there has been some mishandling of the situation, who was responsible, we have to take action. That's why the commission has been appointed. See what the report says. Based upon that, the cabinet will take a further decision.
But the BJP has questioned how the state government has pinned the blame on everyone but themselves.
If there was an intimation by RCB that they are going to hold a celebration function in Chinnaswamy Stadium, and if government did not want that to happen, they should have refused the permission. Instead of that, in order to take the credit of the victory, Deputy Chief Minister and Chief Minister themselves have gone ahead and requested people to come. At this juncture, putting the blame on a great cricket player like Virat Kohli or RCB is wrong.
While the Judicial Commission's report on the Bengaluru Stampede has been placed before the cabinet, it remains to be seen what further measures will be taken by the government based on the findings and recommendations.
आप एक गुंडे के खेल से बिहेव कर रहे हो सर। मेरी आप तो एक मेरा गायकवाड is running away from NDTV's questions.
That issue is not before the High Command. It was not discussed so far.
Kolhapuri couples costing $1,300.
The noise we made finally got heard, and it's so nice that somebody took action on it.
Pictures and videos of women that were taken in the Bengaluru metro, now on Church Street and other prominent places in Bengaluru, we managed to arrest both of them.
We are bringing you now, for the very first time, is that the Air India preliminary crash report is out.
This 15-page report into 10 key findings of what really is being said in this probe report.
What's reporting without impact? NDTV 24/7.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
फिनिस्टा विंडोज, ब्यूटीफुल एंड ड्यूरेबल डिजाइन्स, इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनिस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
Fine, finer, Finesta.
आप एक गुंडे के से बिहेव कर रहे हो सर। मेरी आप तो एक आपने मेरा गायकवाड इज रनिंग अवे फ्रॉम NDTV's questions.
That issue is not before the High Command. It was not discussed so far.
Kolhapuri couples costing $1,300.
The noise we made finally got heard, and it's so nice that somebody took action on it.
Pictures and videos of women that were taken in the Bengaluru metro, now on Church Street and other prominent places in Bengaluru. We managed to arrest both of them.
We are bringing you now, for the very first time, is that the Air India preliminary crash report is out.
This 15-page report into 10 key findings of what really is being said in this probe report.
What's reporting without impact? NDTV 24/7.
Some say sport is a matter of life and death. The truth is, it is far more serious than that. Sport is about ecstasy and agony, about pain and suffering, about joy and much more. Some say there's no one better to tell these stories. So here I am. Join me, Boria Majumdar, on India's #1 news network.
Good evening, welcome. You're watching Left, Right and Centre. I'm Vishnu Shom. On the programme today, the government for the first time, the Air India accident investigator has reacted to a massive story which has emerged from the Wall Street Journal, where they say that one of the pilots, in fact the pilot in command of that Boeing 787 Dreamliner, was the pilot who switched off the fuel switches of that aircraft. Remember, it is once the engines were starved of fuel that within a few seconds it crashed. On the program tonight, we are looking at transparency, right, which is what a lot of these reports are talking about, versus rigorous investigation, because that is exactly what the government says they must have the ability to do. And by government, I am talking about the independent investigator. Well, let's just bring you a couple of details about what the Wall Street Journal had out in the morning. In its story today, focusing on the pilots, they've brought out details of crucial cockpit conversations. Remember, the Wall Street Journal claims that these cockpit conversations seem to indicate that the pilot in command was the person who had switched off the fuel switches on the aircraft. That in turn resulted in thrust rollback from the engines. The preliminary accident report, which had come in earlier on, did not identify which pilot had actually done that. But they say in their report that based on what they have seen, there needs to perhaps be a police investigation in India as well. So there was also another important mention that the co-pilot, Kundar, expressed surprise and panic in the middle of all of this. So that's the pilot, that's the co-pilot. Again, this is what the Wall Street Journal has to say. Why, shortly after the fuel switches were switched off, the co-pilot expressed panic, but the captain remained calm. The allegation, I repeatedly use that word allegation, based on what the Wall Street Journal is saying, is that it was the pilot in command sitting on the left of the aircraft. He wasn't the pilot flying, who had switched off the fuel switches. Why on earth would he do that is the big question. It raises all sorts of issues. Kundar was the pilot, as I mentioned over there, but it is the pilot in command who had actually done that. So should criminal authorities review the matter as a potential crime rather than as a safety mishap? Because a lot of the focus in India has been on potential technical defects. Was there a software issue? Was there an issue in terms of maintenance? Were there other issues, mechanical issues? That's a cause of concern. Now, the government has called the news break to be one-sided. In a signed document by the Accident Investigation Board of India. In fact, the head of that. Let's move to that next one, the next point, where they've actually said that it is not the time to create public anxiety. They've also said that they are working in a time-bound manner. Let's move to the next page, bring up a few of the other points, and that selective, unverified reporting by international media is taking place. They oppose that. This comes on a day when that Wall Street Journal report came out. They want international media's actions to be responsible, right? And they've said that it is irresponsible to sort of breach the sanctity of that process. Within India, it is too early to reach definitive conclusions, again indicating that perhaps the Wall Street Journal has premature narratives undermined the integrity of the probe. Well, for right or for wrong, that probe has already, in a sense, been undermined. Let's go across to our guests at this stage. Captain C.S. Randhava is a senior examiner on a Boeing 777 and has been in the DGCA in the past as well. And we've got Terry Tozer, retired airline pilot. Both of them will be joining us in a few moments. Do we have the guests up at this stage? All right, we don't have the guests up. We'll have them up in a few moments from now. But the big focus that we continue to look at today is the Wall Street Journal report, the impact of that, with the government saying that one way or the other, there needs to be a process on the basis of which they need time for the investigation and the sanctity cannot be breached. Well, joining us now, Terry Tozer is a retired airline pilot. Thanks very much for joining us. Terry, you would have seen what the government has said. By government, I mean it is an independent body, the AAIB, looking into this crash. They say that the integrity of that crash investigation is being breached by these reports which are appearing in the Western media. Is that a perspective you agree with?
Well, I'm not quite sure about reports that have breached the protocol. I mean, a breach of protocol would have to come from the investigating team. Obviously, the media is a law unto itself, and they like a sensational story and will clutch at any straw to generate one. So, present company accepted, I'm sure, but you get my point.
No, I do get your point. But Terry, the Wall Street Journal article spoke about and actually indicated which pilot had allegedly switched off the fuel switches. That adds to, where a lot of information in this case, particularly since the entire transcript of the cockpit voice recorder has not been released. Do you see that to be a valid piece of journalism, or do you believe that people need to hold back on that?
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because where did they get their information from? I think I would. Journalists are generally keen to publish any information they can get their hands on. And we've had a recent case of that in the UK over super injunctions that were intended to make people safe, but the press didn't like it. I think the real point is, where did they get the information? If someone on the investigating team leaked that, then they need to be investigated.
Right, no, that's an important point. Captain C.S. Randhava, one way or the other, this entire process has been vitiated. There are leaks which have happened. There have been multiple reports which have come in, two from the Wall Street Journal, one from an aviation journal prior to that. And somebody is evidently speaking, if not from India, then perhaps from some of the agencies which are involved in this. There's nothing that can essentially be done to stop that. The details of that cockpit voice recording are obviously out there. In a situation like this, what can be realistically done to stop further publications, should that at all be required?
See, first and foremost thing, I have been, Vishnu, contemplating that in the inquiry being, or the investigation being held by the AAIB, where was the requirement of getting the NTSB, the UK team, and the FAA team?
Sir. Because
it's a legal requirement. They can take assistance.
Citizens of those countries died. So I believe there is even a Portuguese
you can take assistance. I can take assistance of those agencies. But prima facie, the investigation should be carried out by the agency, that is AAIB.
No, but it is, sir.
Now, our next question is that...
No, but sir, just as a point of clarification, it is being done by the AAIB. The NTSB, the Canadian regulator, the British regulator have a right to be there because their citizens have died. right? So therefore, they are a part of an international process where the data has evidently been shared. You can't deny them that, but the primary writer and the processor of the information is India.
It is, Vishnu, you can check up in my, I just finished as a list on the Republic TV, and there was a gentleman, Captain John Cox, and he's been on the investigation teams in USA. So I questioned to him that in case this accident would have occurred in USA, would you have allowed teams from India and UK and other places?
No, but
so
it depends on the citizenship.
Entirely, sir. No, he said the ICAO dictates that it depends on the country. It depends on the country. The country can deny it. That's what he said.
So you are suggesting that India should have denied the, for example, the
no,
NTSB
they could have taken, they could have assistance, and where what we feel is there is too much of interference. And the terminology is being used even in the preliminary report, transitioning. We don't use it in India.
Yeah.
It is an American terminology. Okay. And it does not say at all in the preliminary report. And I thank the minister that today I had taken up this matter with the Minister of Civil Aviation. And by evening there's an appeal which has been given by the DGAAIB that all the media personnel should refrain from, giving speculations and coming to conclusions. So you must have got that copy of that appeal. Now, my point is, it is very easy to blame the pilots. Yeah. Now, they are already dead. Now, I take you back to the accident which occurred in USA, Sully, very famous. A movie was also made. Now, that captain was alive to fight his battle. Otherwise, FAA wanted to pin him down. That's why he did not land in Newark. Right? He fought it. And then he was applauded and knighted for the good work he did. And he did an excellent job, if you ask me as a pilot. Now, here, the pilots are not alive to defend themselves. So, you can easily pass on the buck.
Yep.
My point is very clear that do not jump to conclusions. Let the investigations be held, and in due course of time, let the facts come to light. And for that, it is very essential that you have in the investigation team the subject matter experts who are Boeing 787 qualified and with expertise. Pilots, engineers, maybe ATC controllers, and air safety specialists who can contribute a lot and bring the facts to light. What is the idea of an investigation? Idea of an investigation is that in future, we do not have a similar accident. That is the idea. It is not a blame game that I will save myself if Boeing thinks or GE thinks or Honeywell thinks, okay, this is the first time it has happened, it will not happen again. You see the 737 MAX. One aircraft crashed in Lion Air, and shortly
Captain
after
Randhawa,
that,
can I just
crashed.
ask you, Captain Randhawa, 2 points. I'm looking at ICAO Annex 13, which says while the state of occurrence leads the investigation, other states whose citizens are involved can appoint accredited representatives to participate in the investigation. These representatives have the right to participate in the investigation and access information, but the state of occurrence retains overall control. So there's nothing illegal in having these people over there. FAA, NTSB, the British.
But we feel in our investigations it is being more of interference by the NTSB and the FAA.
But I think because you can't deny them that, particularly since their citizens have died. But I have a larger question, and I take your point about the need to maintain the sanctity of the report itself. What would happen now if more leaks emerged, more details of cockpit conversations emerged? Do you not believe that perhaps these cockpit conversations should be, the transcript should be out in any case in the name of transparency? Captain Sabharwal?
Now, how will you you are able to contain this. You have foreign agencies in that. You can't hold accountability of the AIB people. There are NTSB, there is FAA, there is. So whom will you blame? From where it is leaking, how will you? You cannot plug it.
No, you
just
can't
plug it.
That's just my point. You can't plug it at this juncture, which is why should that not have been released in the first place? The cockpit transcript.
But Vishnu, if this had happened in USA or Canada or any Western country in Europe, I don't think so anything would have leaked out.
But, sir,
I can assure you that.
Media leaks happen across the world, not just over here.
You know, media leaks happen, but not from the investigation agency.
So you are assuming it is from the agency we really
like
don't know
in
where it is from.
NTSB, whatever, whenever they have carried out investigations and all, I have never seen such thing happening.
Right.
At least I have not seen.
So these agencies are part of this entire process. And given their history, you know, we don't really know where this has come from, but it has happened. But be that as it may, I take your point, and I do believe it is important to ensure that this entire process is not vitiated one way or the other. Thank you very much, sir, for being with us. I did speak earlier on in the day to Captain Mohan Ranganathan. Captain Ranganathan was somebody who had spoken about the potential role of pilots. I did ask him specifically about what he thought about what the Accident Investigation Board has now suggested in terms of potential, or the process of potentially vitiating, the investigation itself. Here's what he said.
On a day when the Wall Street Journal has come out with a report in which it says that the senior pilot on board AI-171 had switched off the fuel switches on board the Boeing 787 Dreamliner, there has now been a response from the chair of the Accident Investigation Board of India. Is that enough in terms of an explanation or a response to what the Wall Street Journal has been saying for its views? I'm now joined by Captain Mohan Ranganathan. Captain, thanks very much for being with us. The AIB head says that the actions of the international media are irresponsible, especially while the investigation remains ongoing, and that they urge both the public and the media to refrain from spreading premature narratives that risk undermining the integrity of the investigative process. Do you believe that the reports which have appeared undermine the integrity of the investigative process?
Not at all. In fact, when I started reading the statement, I found it difficult to go beyond the third line when he claims flawless reporting. We've never found objective and transparent reporting for the last 25 years. So when they point a finger at somebody else, you have to be perfect. You have to remember that you point a finger there, you've got four fingers pointing at you. And so I wouldn't call it irresponsible. The irresponsible behavior, I would say, is the AIB with this sort of a flat kind of report. I mean, you have innuendos when, that statement he says, did you do it? And the other person, the pilot says, they know which channel the sentence was there. And you had the NTSB, Boeing, GE, AIB as associate investigators. They would have heard verbatim whatever took place inside the cockpit. See, even if they didn't want to give the full cockpit record, voice recorder transcript, they should have at least, in the preliminary report, which was released last Saturday at midnight, sent second by second from the takeoff till the time of the crash. Okay. Now see that statement in the Wall Street Journal. They say the captain switched off the fuel selectors and he remained calm. And the co-pilot was panicking. Okay. Now tell me, what is a human response when you find that you're going to be killed shortly? It's very, very difficult for anyone to be calm. There's going to be some kind of a reaction when you know that something is going to happen. It's very, very strange. That statement hit me this morning when I saw the Wall Street Journal report. So I think that itself gives a clear indication why, whoever leaked it, whether it is from NTSB or Boeing, I think they want to put an end to the narrative which is going on here. We look at the.
That's an interesting point, and that's an important point. Do you believe that these leaks are being done from some quarters, obviously from those people who've seen the data, to ensure that the truth gets out because there is not enough confidence that ultimately the truth will emerge?
Exactly. I think you will find when this kind of narrative goes, you will find more and more information being leaked out, because if AIB wants to put an end to this kind of reporting, let them come out. They talk of preliminary report. Come out with at least the cockpit voice recorder transcript for the entire takeoff segment. Let them come out with DFDR, not vague things like, about, the times. They say at about. There is specific. The timeline is because you have to correlate what is happening in the CVR with the DFDR. That is how you identify the position of the aircraft at that spot. Now, if you can't correlate the timings with the exact time stamp, it's very, very difficult. Just like your cockpit voice recorder, it'll record every sound.
And the bottom line, Captain Ranganathan, is that you believe that there is, on the basis of that Wall Street Journal report, enough evidence for a criminal investigation to begin in India? Is that what you believe needs to start taking place, if it hasn't already?
I don't know. There was I think 10 days after the crash, they appointed a Director General of Police, and they also gave him security protection 24 hours wherever he travels in India. That is the sentence and the action which got me thinking that they are focusing on something based on what the CVR has shown them. They've not been transparent with the public. He's talking of don't mislead the public. By the silence and, sort of a flat report, you are misleading the public. And look at the kind of narratives which are going. So I think it's very important that AIB in the next 2 days at least comes out with the second report, which is more transparent than what was done last Saturday.
All right. Okay, Captain Ranganathan, thanks very much for speaking to us. Let's see where this all heads. Thank you very much indeed, sir.
Thank you, Rishni.
Vanakkam Tamil Nadu.
Well, the battle for Tamil Nadu 2026 is open now.
After Chief Minister Stalin rolls up his sleeves and Vijay steps in as a star challenger.
This is a mass gathering, not for cash. Meanwhile, a former Chief Minister, Edapadi Palanisamy, begins his fight back.
The big comeback campaign by EPS has well and truly begun.
These are all the ultimate players, and this is going to be the ultimate test.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
India's IT capital is always bustling, a city full of startups, stories and surprises. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks,
Do I buy Ola?
Should I
or
hold CDSL for the long term?
buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
A 36-hour non-stop flight
Yeah, 18
by a
into two.
small pack of B-2s. A lot of other aircraft were also involved, we know that. But let's talk about the B-2 flight itself. They took off from Missouri. 36 hours later, they landed back without once landing.
Yeah.
They delivered their bombs 18 hours later over Iran and then came back. How was this possible? Because the Department of Defense says at no point of time on this 36-hour journey was there any reason to believe that they were either detected or reacted to?
Well, they weren't detected, because if they were, then they'd be in some serious trouble. It's one of the most unbelievable missions, one of the most historic long-range strike missions. There were 7 B-2s, which by B-2 standards is a fair number of them. There was deception in the very beginning. There was a sense that some of them were flying west across the Pacific. In fact, they weren't. And even if a few planes were positioned in one area, they were not going to be flying the Pacific route.
That was the big distraction.
On social media said, you see the bombers, they're now flying west, so you know what's coming your way. But no, they flew them east across the Atlantic. There were 125 aircraft in total involved. Refuelers were involved at every stage. There were fighter aircraft which linked up 4th generation and 5th generation planes, 5th generation being stealth aircraft. And then after an 18-hour flight one way, right, they shortly before they struck their targets, which was primarily Fordo, using a remarkable weapon which we'll talk about called the GBU-57, 30,000-pound weapon.
Monster.
Before that took place, there were several land attack cruise missiles launched from American submarines and possibly destroyers as well. Possibly in the Persian Gulf, submarines, they don't tell us a location that could be as far out.
The American
as
media says it was
Mediterranean.
one submarine called the USS Georgia.
So again, location, I'm not sure if